the top rope just folds over the top of his head and then smashes him in the forehead when his whole body ricochets off the second rope forward. Welcome to 141 and 2/3%, the wrestling podcast, hosted by two lapsed wrestling fans who could literally stop watching wrestling anytime. My name is Tyler.
And I'm Will.
I don't think we're going to stop watching anytime soon, though. Things are pretty spicy right now.
They're spicy, but it's, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I've been getting used to the product after like 6 months of just being like in like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and just going like, wow, Braun Breaker, wow, Logan Paul, wow, LA Knight. You know, it was a really big hot zone. But I don't know, maybe I'm just getting, my hype is like dying down a little bit because there was a number of episodes, including the PLE Elimination Chamber, where I thought there was a lot of by the numbers stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and say right at the top here, I did not catch Smackdown. Nope, I was too busy playing the worst show of my goddamn life in Canmore, Alberta.
Do you want to illuminate the listeners, or you just want to move right forward into the
No,
wrestling?
because I honestly I don't want to point any fingers or say too much, but you know, there's a real possibility that people at that show could be listeners of this show, and we all know, like, look, it's no secret to anybody that was in that room how bad that night was. But I don't want to go any further than that, because otherwise I'm going to be opening up a can of worms and DMs that I don't want to be answering. But it was not fun. So
Fair
instead
enough.
of watching Smackdown, which had LA Knight and DM Hunk himself, I was playing drums to 5 people in a room. Oh well.
Fair enough, for sure. I want to just apologize to listeners today. I'm in a different recording location, so you might pick up some weird sounds on the recording that you don't normally hear. Because it was my birthday last week, and I had a party, so the house is a bit rearranged from my normal recording spot. The table is not there. It is in a different location for optimal partying feng shui. So you might hear a little... you might hear some clips and clops coming, because I'm in a different room than normal. And I'm not too sure what it'll pick up here. And I got hungry cats. I'm surrounded by hungry cats right now. And they keep meowing at me, so you might get a couple meows too.
Dude, you don't even know what 100 cats even looks like. My sister-in-law works for the SPCA, so she takes a bunch of cats home just to get them acclimatized to being with other cats before she takes them to the actual shelter. She has hundreds of cats, literally.
Ugh.
Hundreds
God,
of cats.
It sounds like a nightmare for me.
Yeah,
I have 4, and let me tell you, that's too many already.
Yeah.
By at least 2.
Yeah. All right, let's dive in here today because there is a lot to talk about. We even got a PLE on the docket to get into that was aired at 3:00 in the morning for us. Did you stayed up for it? Didn't you?
Yeah. Before we get into that, I want to touch on 2 quick pieces of news before we jump in. But yes, I did watch Elimination Chamber live at 3 a.m. in our time zone, which was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to touch on a couple news points here. 2 deaths that have occurred in the week since we recorded last. Ole Anderson has died.
Yes.
A foundational member of the Anderson wrestling quote-unquote family. Intricate member of the Four Horsemen. Cause of death still hasn't been released to my knowledge, but you know, it was confirmed a couple days ago that he had passed, and I do know that he was struggling with some issues with his health, as most older wrestlers do. I know that he was nursing some broken ribs not too long ago, and that he had a MS diagnosis about a decade ago. So I'm sure complications of that led into it. It was nice of the WWE to acknowledge it on air. They touched on it on Raw, I believe, this week.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And that's good. That's nice of them to do. I don't believe Ole ever worked directly with the WWE, and in fact, knowing where he's from, the Minnesota wrestling scene, he probably hated the WWE for ruining the business. But it was nice of them to shout him out on their programming.
Yeah. I mean, for a corporate conglomerate that is the actual definition of a monopoly, really. Yeah, I can see why he probably wasn't a big fan. But hey, yeah, you're right. At least it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good touch, and I a hell of a life. I think he was 81 when he died, so kudos to him for putting in a shift and having quite a full life. And then another death happened not too long ago. I believe it was yesterday. Virgil, Ted DiBiase's main man. He was a bit of a problematic figure. Born Michael Jones. He was a fixture on the convention scene in the years since he stopped wrestling. He wouldn't miss a show from what I gather online. A lot of people were cracking jokes about him, being at the great signing table in the sky, ready to sell shirts to Jesus. He did have some controversial opinions in his later years, especially like around COVID. I won't get into it too much. I'll leave it to the listener to dive in if at their leisure, if they wish.
Right.
Seemed like kind of a weird dude. But yeah, another guy who had some health problems because of wrestling. It's hard to, not to throw too much shade at the dead here, but he was kind of a tall teller. So, he did say that he had suffered a couple strokes and had been diagnosed with dementia a couple years ago. And then later he also said he was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. So I can't speak to the veracity of all of those comments. We'll take him at his word because
right.
it's not the time to shit on him too much. But rest in peace to both of those legends of wrestling. It's always terrible for these wrestlers as they get older, especially from that era where we weren't protecting the talent as much. They had to prove themselves multiple times in multiple territories and companies and stuff.
Right.
It's a tough life on the road, right? And you have just a brief sliver of it in some of the stuff you do with your band.
Well,
it's not even approaching
even
what they have to suffer through for touring.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't even say it's comparable at all. Like what I do doesn't put my body through a fraction, like barely a percent of what they put their bodies through. I just complain about carrying heavy things for about 10 minutes and then it's over. Yeah, no. Speaking just before we move on from Virgil, when I saw the news and saw his picture, the picture that was brought up on my social media looked exactly like Tommy Lister Jr. Do you know who Tommy Lister Jr. is?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, so I thought it was Tommy Lister Jr. and I was talking to my fiance about this, going like, I think the guy from Friday's dead, and she's like, Ice Cube? No.
No. No one important.
No. The other guy, the guy that was stealing the people's bikes in Friday. She's like, oh. Who are you talking about? I'm like, never mind. But it turns out I was wrong.
No fucking clue.
Completely different guy. But, I'm glad to see that Tommy Lister's still going well. Oh, no, never mind. He died 4 years ago.
Okay, well, not doing well. Not doing great. Could be better. You took a swing and you missed bad.
Wow. I even had his bio right up here on my screen here, and I just scrolled down and died December 10th, 2020. Oops.
Oh.
Well, rest in peace, all three.
Let's get into some actual wrestling today. So, so SmackDown, February 23rd in Salt Lake City again. So I looked into this after, I started watching SmackDown. They didn't say where they were. I saw some familiar faces in the crowd, and I'm like, oh, I think this is just Salt Lake City again. I think they're just running it back. And I looked into it, and they did indeed record the second SmackDown right after the live SmackDown from the week before, the one that was broadcast live on February 16th.
Makes sense.
16th, yep. So, so you kind of expect not much to really happen here as far as story development because it is on tape delay, and they want to, acknowledge the fact that Elimination Chamber is quote-unquote tomorrow, even though they're recording it a week in advance, and they don't want to, let on too many plot points to go on at EC. It made more sense when I saw that last SmackDown, Liv had said tomorrow in reference to the Elimination Chamber. As we now hear the garage door closing underneath me, and my warning about recording spaces was founded. It makes more sense now that she had said tomorrow during a backstage interview promo thing. She probably was just confused as to when that segment was going to air, and no one said, "Hey, this one's actually airing live." This isn't or this recorded tape is airing later today, not next week before EC. But yeah, so we start off with this was another thing that actually helped give it away that it was a same night was Bianca came out to start the show off wearing the same thing she was wearing when they all brawled the last SmackDown.
Amazing.
So, not even a costume change for that. I figured she was coming out to guest commentate, but she kind of just did the thing where she sits beside the commentator's table and doesn't actually commentate. She just sat there to watch the Liv and Tiff match.
I watched a little bit of this, and I thought it was kind of weird because we've had so many wrestlers come and do commentary alongside the announce team for the last couple of weeks, like most notably like Logan Paul and LA Knight, which were great when they did it. I wonder if this was a creative choice or maybe this was a Bianca choice to go like, you know what, I'm just going to sit there. Not sit there, because she didn't sit there. She got up and got mixed into the situation a little bit. But maybe it was a creative choice, like, maybe she doesn't have the commentating skills quite yet, or doesn't have that like mic personality to be a commentator while also trash talking and all that sort of stuff, like LA Knight or Logan Paul, who feed into that. And I feel like heels are probably like, maybe not heels, but like the heelish type characters like Logan Paul, like LA Knight, where they have like this brash attitude for them. Those guys make the most sense to add to the commentating team when these events,
especially given the SmackDown commentating team as it is. I would say that you could have probably got away with it because she's more of a face, and the current SmackDown team is a bit more heelish, right? Because it's like Barrett and Graves are on SmackDown, right? I'm not misconstruing that,
right?
And then Cole and so it would have made a little bit more sense for Bianca to be on there just because she would have been the face in the group, but I digress. It wasn't that important. Tiv versus Liv is Tiv versus Liv. Liv versus Tiff is the first one for SmackDown. Tiv with a lot of classic heel work here. You know, you can see why she's so highly touted because she really understands the psychology of the ring. You know, just like really basic classic heel work, but still well done. You know, just getting right at the beginning of the match, kind of Liv getting a few shots on her and her walking out of the ring, saying, "I'm out of here," you know, talking shit to everyone.
Yeah.
Getting Liv to drag her back into it. Really solid slap on Bianca by Tiff too. Did not hold him back at all. That was it's got to be difficult when you're in that position and you're slapping one of like the, you know, premier women in the company and you're brand new to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, brand new to wrestling, honestly. She's only been in for a few years.
Well, I think this is something that maybe Shawn Michaels is ingraining in the newer generation of wrestlers is it's okay to hit each other. I feel like there's been times in the past where people keep like working a little too safe. Tiff and Braun Breaker are two of these new two people in this new crop that's coming up that can hit. And like we saw Tiff in this match hit hard. And then we'll see, like when we talk about Elimination Chamber, like Tiff hit. Like she can throw her body weight into this and fuck some people up and make it look great at the same time. So I really appreciate that when somebody comes up and let's throw down. Like, yeah, it's we're acting, it's theater in the round, but we're also kind of fighting. Like, come on, guys. You know?
Yeah, you got to lean into it. You can't be 100% safe here. It's the nature of the business.
It's the nature of the business, exactly.
But, you know, it was a solid match. It was nothing too special. Pretty simple stuff. It was a solid win for Tiff, even with the interference. Nice to see her get a victory over, you know, an established wrestler in the company. But something about Bianca, man, like, I don't really like Bianca Belair, and I've expressed that on this podcast before, and I'm not entirely sure why. I can make assumptions, like, I don't like the hair bit. I don't like the gimmick.
You don't like the EST?
I don't like I do not like the EST. I don't think that's very smart either. I think it's a kind of a case of the work getting the gimmick over as opposed to the gimmick getting the work over. She's so solid in the ring, but I don't like the EST. I don't like the hair thing. I don't like the bubbly smiles regardless of her situation and where she is on the card and who she's fighting. She just kind of smells like 2015 WWE to me, and I think in the same way where we see like Ivar and the Viking Raiders being a holdover from like the 80s, 90s style WWE gimmicks. For me, it's like Bianca's almost a holdover from that no man's land time between like 2010 and 2020. Like just a weird concoction that I just not really a fan of. I think she's in desperate need of a heel turn. I don't think she's ever really had a solid one.
No.
But she is in that Cena level where she's incredibly popular. She's really popular with the kids. She really is bubbly and smiley and gets over with as a true baby, and maybe they just don't want to turn her because they don't want to jump. And also, she's got a television show right now. So it's not really the time for it either.
Love in WWE Season 1. I think I mentioned it last episode that Kate watched the entire season of it while waiting for me to be done one of my recording session nights that take me like 4 hours. So she's crushed the whole goddamn thing, and now she's a big Bianca fan. She loves her.
I like her as a human. I have no like Nia Jax. I don't think I like as a human. And I don't know if that's just so much of my hatred towards her in-ring work that it's bleeding over to her personality. But anytime I've ever seen her interviewed, I've just been very unimpressed with her charisma and attitude. That's enough on that. That's enough of me talking shit about women for the fucking first match, though. So yeah, solid
we're just starting
match.
This episode off. We usually try to keep this like buried in maybe like hour 2.
We still have to talk about the EC women's, so let's keep it for that.
Hey, there's positives.
Drew is doing a quick promo, and Lashley's talking shit to him. They're building a little thing there. We'll see if that goes anywhere. There's been a lot of like multiple setup stuff going on over the last few weeks, kind of leaving options open for Mania and stuff. So I'm not sure if we're going to see anything about that anytime soon, or if it was just a kind of a little thing to insert there that kind of everyone is sick of Drew's shit right now. And then we get this weird segment with Adonis and Cedric Alexander getting paired up. I had no clue that they were paired up. I don't know if it's like happening on NXT or this is them seeding the first bits of it. Where, I think it was they were trying to find Cedric ring attire, and Adonis was like, no, that's not good for me, dog. Nope, don't like that one. Eat shit. That one sucks. It's just weird, like for those of you who aren't aware or don't remember, Adonis, he's the Hit Row guy who is not Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil got fired. And Cedric was part of the Hurt Business with Bobby Lashley, which I desperately wish they brought back instead of whatever they're doing right now with Lashley. Or I wish they just had called it Hurt Business 2.0 and maybe thrown MVP in there. I don't know. Whatever. It's not important.
Right.
A third exclusively black tag team seems a bit strange to me. It just like, not to boil things down to race, but that is it's big characters. That's what WWE is all about, right? And just like things like race can be an identifier for a tag team. It could start off as that's the black tag team, that's the Viking tag team, that's the Jock tag team,
right?
And now you have a third black tag team in the mix, and like I don't have any problem discerning between the three of them, but I don't know about the casual fan. I don't know if Cedric and Adonis, whatever they end up getting called, are just going to get lost in the shuffle. But we'll see where it goes. And then a weird promo with the Bloodline talking about Raw. And I just say weird because it was just weird because, like, I assume it was recorded in front of the Raw audience. Like, maybe not recorded, but, like, played in front of the Raw audience to get the crowd reaction from that and pipe that in onto the Smackdown broadcast. Because they're clearly doing the promo in Wrestling Timeline post-Raw, but I presumably are recording it the week before at Smackdown. So they don't really go into too much specifics. It's just like, Jimmy saying, Roman asking, like, who told you to interfere in the match on Raw? Jimmy saying, oh, it was Paul. And then Roman saying, no, I told Paul to tell you I'm the leader, I have a feeling that maybe it might come out that The Rock was the one who told Paul to tell Jimmy to interfere. Or they're at least leaving that option open in the future if they want to use it.
Right.
But it might just be another... Because other than that, the promo really didn't serve any purpose.
Gotcha. Yeah, especially considering how the next, like, how the PLE went and Raw went. Like, there didn't seem to be anything that came from it. And that even goes for, like, I don't know if they did any callback to Grayson Waller in this SmackDown episode. But, yeah. If they didn't mean anything, really.
They did do some Waller callback, and we'll get to that. And it was kind of weird because they showed Waller stuff with the Bloodline the week before.
Yes.
Of Waller going into the Bloodline's dressing room, which kind of seems like the precursor to the segment they aired this week. So it was a little bit out of order. But whatever. I mean, it's not too distracting, and I couldn't really care less. This was really just a placeholder SmackDown waiting for the Elimination Chamber.
And that's what I mean.
Then Braun finally, yeah, go ahead.
That's what I mean is just like there's been a few episodes this last like 2 or 3 weeks where it's just like they're biding time. Like, okay, we got to get through Elimination Chamber so we can set up everything. And yeah, it's just, I mean, there's been some bangers in there like that SmackDown like 2 weeks ago where LA Knight came out, like it was that post press conference SmackDown. That was incredible. But it just seems like they're just kind of floating right now. But maybe that'll change over the next couple of weeks as The Rock starts to get more ingrained with the week by week storytelling. Yeah,
I mean, there's no March PLE. There's not a WWE. There's an NXT one, but there's no PLE to really build up to other than Mania here. Rock's already been confirmed for a couple SmackDowns in March.
Yep.
So I'm sure they're going to start building it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, placeholder SmackDown here. So Braun finally debuts with a fucking Steiner ass singlet. Looks great. A little weird that he's not bringing out the NXT tag belt to this match.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know the current state of NXT, but he is, as of that broadcast, the NXT, one and a half of the NXT tag team champs.
Yep.
This was an opportunity for them to rename him Steiner, and I really wish they had, especially because they're now fully acknowledging that he is the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Professor Scott Steiner, professor of math.
Yep.
In the University of Thugonomics.
Yep.
So I really wish they kind of took this opportunity with the call-up to bring him in as Braun Steiner, but, they haven't, and maybe Braun Steiner and Braun Strowman sound too close. I don't know.
Hey,
whatever. Yeah. They made their choice. It's over. Just a couple things. Like they come out and we see Dante Chen, who's got no music. He's already in the ring.
Full on jobbing.
Full job. You see it coming a mile away. So, Steiner, just a couple notes from the match. When you see Steiner hit those ropes, man, he hits those ropes.
He hits. That's what I mean.
He's very, very fast and very quick for his size. And if you haven't seen it yet, and the listeners haven't seen it, I encourage you looking up him hitting the ropes so hard that he, like, moves through the top rope. Like, he breaks the laws of physics, moves through the top rope, and the top rope slams him in his forehead. Have you seen that clip?
No, I haven't. I'm going to look that up right now.
Oh, it's amazing. It's great. He just hits the rings. I think he hits the ropes after someone else has used them or hit them. So the ropes are not perfectly even. Right. So they're jiggling a little bit. So when he hits it, he goes down to hit it. And he just the top rope just folds over the top of his head and then smashes him in the forehead when his whole body ricochets off the second rope.
Whoa. Forward. Yep. I just saw it. Yeah. It's with Carmelo. And yeah, it doesn't look like somebody bounced off it. I think he was just going so goddamn fast and I think he's also just like a smidge like too short. And number 3, the other third point is that I don't think he got his arm high enough over that rope, because I know that if you don't put your arm over the rope, you might as well just be running through those ropes. I've heard like what's his name? The guy that was just wiped from memory for P.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Who cares?
I'm not allowed to say his name.
Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore.
He's canceled. He's over.
He's over. He I heard a story where he ran through, like, he was going like mock fuck all, and he flew through the ropes because he didn't put his arm didn't put his arm high enough to stop him from going. But that looks like a dangerous spot right there. That could have break your neck if you weren't being careful. So, I mean, I love watching Braun Breaker go fast. You can go sonic speed, but that could kill you if you're not careful.
Check out Braun Breaker in Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Coming your way.
Yep.
Playing Dr. Robotnik's son or something. I don't know. Who gives a shit?
That sounds great.
Hollywood is all about IP. So, quick squash match. Then we get into JD and Dom versus the New Catch Republic. It was you kind of saw where this one was going. We're heading into EC. It's the, second-rate tag team of the Judgment Day. Should be a quick, clean win for New Catch Republic to kind of get them over before EC, where I expected them to lose. But NCR pretty much dominated the entire match, showcased a lot of their unique moveset, which was nice.
Yep.
One day, Dom is actually going to hit the Three Amigos. That's the same thing I was talking about with Cody and the finishing moves. Like, some of them are just second-tier finishing moves that are always going to get a kick out. Or, as I'm going to touch on later in the episode, Sami Zayn and the Blue Thunder Bomb. One day, these moves are going to get over and get a win.
Yeah.
But until that day, Dom is destined to just do the Two Amigos every time he tries it.
I would love to see a Dom match where he, like, unequivocally not dominates, but like a clean win. Like, clearly he controlled the match and won. That'd be sweet to see, because I love Dom. I love Dom as a heel, but I would like to see him win like a couple, just to get him like just like a touch over in terms of, like, I don't know, competition factor. Because every time I see Dom come on screen, I just know that he's going to get his ass beat. And I like Dom. I think Dom is a great wrestler. I think he's like it. I think he's super solid. So I think a couple of wins should really help.
When he first showed up, he was very green. If you look at some of the ages of these people,
right?
Dom is one of the youngest people on the main roster.
I think he's like a smidge
he did get that leg up. Yeah, he's super young, and he, got the fast track because of his pop and the storyline that they could tell with that. And he's done a very good job, though, of staying on his game, continuing to work and get better at his craft. They protect him very well. But those will come, though. Those clean wins will come for Dom for sure. Probably not until he's a face, which is going to be a very difficult thing to do. I assume it's going to have something to do with betraying Judgment Day at some point.
Well, you got to break
him
up
with Mommy.
Yeah, I mean, Mommy's starting to turn face. I can't believe I just said that. Mommy's turning face. Rhea's turning, like, she's hinting to turning face. I've said it a million times over this podcast. I would love to see a Priest versus Rhea, like, breakup of the Judgment Day, like a vie for power and a legit match between those two. Is that wrong to say? I think they could work great together if they could make it work.
They'll never do it.
They'll
never do it.
God damn it.
It's just, they just don't do the men versus women anything anymore. And if they did do it, I think it would be more like Rhea versus, it would have to be like believable. It would have to be like Rhea versus Dom or Rhea versus JD. I think, meow, meow, meow. I think that's the only way you can really do it, is it's got to be believable. Like Priest is a giant man. There's like, and it was as tough as Rhea is, and she would kick my ass, certainly. I just don't think it's believable enough for those two to go at it. And I'm still sitting on my grand my grand theory about the Money in the Bank briefcase, that when JD gifted the Senor Money in the Bank case, the purple one, that he took the contract, and that in that case there is no contract for a championship match, and it's going to come, and that's going to be the end of Judgment Day. Is he's going to go to cash it in at some point, and it's not going to be in there, and they're going to trace it back to being JD's fault.
Yeah, I think if he's going to cash it in, it'll probably most likely be with Drew holding the World Heavyweight title. I think that makes the most sense.
The problem is, like, as much as I love Priest, there's just nothing really makes sense for him to take right now in the world, Nope. In the world championship picture. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do with it, but we'll see where it goes. So yeah, it was a solid match. It was very safe. It was a high flying kind of quick speed match with New Catch Republic and JD and Dom all kind of being those kind of wrestlers, but they were still really safe with it. Bit of a tough finisher, a little bit of a rough finish to the match, but all things can be forgiven here. And then we go into a quick funny promo with KO and Waller and Paul and Theory. I love this.
I did see this. I saw this like online after maybe on Saturday morning, and the chemistry between Paul and KO, I'm just loving. I'd love to see them. I'll watch more of those two for a long time coming.
Yeah, and it seemed to be that they were working up to a rematch for Mania for the U.S. Championship belt, but as things move on this week, it starts to feel like maybe that's not going to be the case. Maybe. But yeah, it was a good, quick, funny promo. The line with KO, like, what happened to your shirt? Theory, he was wearing like a smoking jacket just with no shirt on. I thought that was fun, and an easy shot, but well executed.
Yeah.
And then we get our favorite storyline. We've been waiting for updates. It's the reason we turn into Smackdown every week.
Yeah, Street
Profits are coming out, and they're gonna fight AOP. It was nice to see the Street Profits come out and actually embrace the crowd a little bit more, embrace the face. They're not going to make it as they're not going to make it as heels, and everyone's kind of cool with that now in the writers' room, it seems like. So they came out and kind of did a hybrid of their old entrance, where they didn't have the exact same entrance with the red solo cups, but they kind of did similar movements, and they were dapping the crowd up. AOP comes out, and they got that like GTA 4 Lost in the Damned filter, that gritty black and white.
Wow,
30 frames.
That's taking me back to
20 frames per second.
8th grade.
It just looks like it's been shit on and run through it. I'm walking into this match, I'm thinking AOP needs a clean win here, preferably over Dawkins, so that you don't have to stomp Mello at all. And I was hoping for a clean AOP win here and a long slobber knock match with lots of physical, a lot of spots that AOP can thrive in. And as you're watching the match, did you watch this match?
No, I did not.
Okay, so it's very clear in a longer match here for AOP that AOP works very well together, and you can tell that they've been teaming for a long time. They teamed in WWE, I believe in NXT, and then they both were released at the same time and teamed through the indies. They have a very unique style, something that's not really in WWE right now, to have two big bruiser men as a tag team, but they can still move and they don't look lethargic. They don't look like they're going to have a heart attack or need a chair to sit down in. They work very well tagging in and out, saving their rest spots, recouping, being a very believable bruiser team with their giant cargo pockets. I have a really controversial opinion about Final Testament that I feel like I need to share on this podcast. Uh-oh. And I hope that you might back me up here.
Okay.
Because I don't think a lot of people feel this way.
Oh, no. Let's see.
Scarlett? She's pretty attractive.
Yeah, I can back you up on that one. Yep. You're good. Yeah, I got you.
She's kind of hot.
She's kind of hot.
Just a bit. Just a touch.
Yeah.
Controversial opinion, I know, guys. Reach out to us on the email if you disagree. Ellering really needs to be coaching more from the sidelines. He needs to be more present so we understand why he's here. He did a little thing where he was trying to hype up AOP, but he's like an 80-year-old man, and him doing hype doesn't really sell well. Like, we need more, like, brooding and measured and quiet power from the old guy instead of him, like, trying to hype them up with actual, like, arm movements and looking like he's going to fall apart like a Mr. Potato Head doll.
Or you could give him maybe Paul Bearer's urn. Maybe that could work.
Sure, why the fuck not? Final Testament spooky.
Yeah.
Get some storyline where he's in the back and, you know, he gets confronted by the Street Profits and they push him around a bit and he falls into like a suitcase and it's marked WWE props and like Doink's face falls out of there and Triple H's sledgehammer and John Cena like uniquely branded 1-Up mushroom fucking wristband, and then the urn's there.
Boom.
And then he grabs it, and then they throw some Pulp Fiction lighting in that sucker.
Oh,
and then
there
it's
you go.
Like, oh, and then he takes over. I love it. I think guys, I know they're listening. Guys, I know you're listening. Writing team,
bring it back.
Let's see it happen. Yeah, so everything falls apart in this match, which I kind of saw coming. Everyone's fighting everyone. Interesting move to see Cross come in and really take out Bobby. You know, like I've said before, you need to distract Bobby from the main event scene. He's so big and so over and such a force that there needs to be a believable reason that he's not going after the belt or that he's not winning EC. So to have Cross come in and take out his elbow really set that up nicely and help get Crossover as a bigger threat a little bit more. So good choices there. But you know, not a fully clean win for AOP at the end of the day. But not also not especially dirty, you know, like kind of shit hit the fan. Again, you didn't watch it, but shit hit the fan. But there was no direct interference leading to their win. It was more of interference was going on all around everyone and they got the win.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was actually a pretty great match for a storyline that I've otherwise been not interested in. I thought it was well executed, and I thought it was smart booking to give them the win, but not have it be interference directly. Kind of move this storyline down the road here and give AOP a little bit of legitimacy.
Yeah, a little bit of legitimacy, and like you said, give Street Profits that face turn that they've desperately needed for so long because they just were not working as heels.
Yeah, just acknowledging, I mean, not even just a face turn, just acknowledging that the heel shit wasn't working and that, you know, letting everyone in on the secret or letting everyone in on the fact that, hey, we're acknowledging these people are faces moving forward with Bobby.
Right.
And then we turn to so are you out at this point? You haven't seen anything left?
I have not
Smackdown.
seen any of this. I haven't seen Dakota Kai. I haven't seen LA Knight. Reminder: I am in Canmore, hating life.
Hating life, just despising existence. So yeah, Dakota Kai is going through physio in the backstage. So apparently she was jumped like off of camera by the rest of Damage Control, or I guess Damage Control now. It's just the Japanese team is Damage Control at this point.
Yep.
So I don't remember her being jumped at any point. Do you, like last week or anything? I don't remember that happening.
Bailey being jumped or Dakota?
No, Dakota.
I do remember Dakota being jumped because Bailey went into the back room, like where.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was jumped.
That was the last week.
Yeah, I think it was the week beforehand. I can't remember the exact like circumstances of her being jumped backstage, but like it was one of those moments where Bailey and Dakota just solidified their alliance a little bit more.
Right. So okay, yeah. So I must have forgot that at that point. But again, another symptom of recording 2 episodes on the same night. There's a little bit of crossover that doesn't make the most sense. But yeah, so Bailey comes in to make amends with Dakota. She's on the physio table. Dakota's, you know, talking about how she's got Bailey's back. I got jumped. This sucks, but I got your back, boo. Like, Bailey's going to get absolutely fucked by her at some point, right? That's what's happening here.
Yep, that's definitely happening.
That's what they're setting up. Okay, cool. We're in agreement. So let's move on to LA Knight and DM Hunk. So my first initial notes for this was Will and I might die watching this match. 2 of our favorite wrestlers who tread the line between good and evil, between face and heel, going up against each other. And you missed it, but you didn't miss too much, I would say, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited for this match because, like you said, yeah, it's LA Knight and DM Hunk himself. Yeah, I wish I caught it. I was trying to. I caught like the first hour of the episode, but then I had to do something else. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Oh yeah. So before Drew comes out, you see Lashley getting fixed up, and Drew says that he's going to pray for him, which is just a great line. They just left it at that. He's like, "I'll pray for you," and then goes out. Logan heads out to do commentary, and so I'm thinking, oh fuck, this is going to be even better than I could imagine. Now you got Logan out here doing commentary and Knight and Hunk in the ring. Logan sucks chants start happening. He's eating it up. He's yelling at the crowd, telling them to shut up. It was a very solid professional match between Drew and LA Knight. Each person getting their spots in. No one really working from the bottom. KO comes out. He pulls up a seat to commentary. So now I see where this is going. We now have 4 of the 6 people of Elimination Chamber here. This is just going to devolve into a giant fucking brawl before EC.
Yeah.
So I'm getting kind of sad because I'm really enjoying what's happening in the ring with Knight and I keep wanting to say DM Hunk. I should just say Drew. So Knight and Drew are putting on a good show, but you can tell where it's headed. Just like some unique offense by Drew at the edge of the ring. And then like you start to get distracted by the commentary because now you've got Logan, Barrett, Graves, and KO all on commentary, and KO and Logan are both just like, they're already like freewheeling improvisers, so they're just going off on each other, and you can't tell at all what's happening on the mic. And Knight and Drew are trying to put on a great show, so the mixing is a little bit off, and you're kind of distracted by everything, and you see where it's going. So I'm losing interest a bit. I'm looking away. I'm looking at my phone. I guess it's a bit hypocritical of me to complain about the sound mixing on Smackdown when our show is so expertly sound mixed every week.
Hey, they have way more resources to deliver good sound. All right, we have 2 microphones and like 2 computers that kind of work. Maybe
it's true. So yeah, the commentary was good. Logan called KO the Squidward of the locker room.
Great stuff.
KO was like, "What are you talking about? What the fuck? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a child." Everything devolves. Everyone's brawling. I'm starting to think my call of KO and Paul starting the EC and Drew and LA finishing it is going to come to fruition, judging by what I'm seeing right now. Then Lashley comes out of the back out of nowhere, starts beating the fuck out of people, and then Randy comes in. He starts RKOing everyone. And then I think we heard like 4 music. Like I think it was the show ended. The match ended and they hit LA Knight's music or Drew's. I can't remember.
Right.
Then Lashley comes out. He beats up people. Then Lashley's music hits. Then Randy comes out. Then Randy RKO's Lashley. Then Randy's music hits. And it's just like the whole last 25 minutes of this episode is just a complete disaster.
Bonkers.
Like when it started with Knight and Drew just putting on a show. And now it's just fucking chaos. So that's enough out of SmackDown for this week. Do you have anything else you wanted to touch on before we moved on to the Elimination Chamber?
No, let's keep it going to Elimination.
Okay, so let me paint the picture for you guys. It is probably about midnight when I finish SmackDown. I watch it on a slight delay because I'm running around trying to get everything ready for my party, which is going to be Saturday night, so the next night. Everything's pretty much done, and I have a choice to make. It's midnight. I had kind of tepid yeses from Will because he was coming back from a show out of town. From Steve, who we both do a podcast with, 2 separate podcasts with. He's working until 2:30. My fiance is working till 3. So I'm like, do I stay up and watch Elimination Chamber live? And I had bought a couple Red Bulls at work that day in case I decided to make that choice. And it's midnight and I'm not very tired, so I say fuck it. I crack that Red Bull We're doing it, baby. We're staying up. It's Elimination Chamber time. We're going live. It really makes no sense for me to do this.
Well, you have hope at that point. You have hope, and at that time that you're talking about, like midnight, I probably might. No, at midnight, no, I'm all out of hope. I think by 10 o'clock, I'm all out of hope. But I'm like, maybe I'll go to Elimination Chamber at your place because just to bring my spirits up. But as the night progresses, look, okay. Now that we're this deep into the episode, the possibility of somebody that's from that show listening to this podcast all the way to this point is very, very
You're
slim.
ready to reveal.
All right. This show...
This is going to be our first YouTube clip. I'm going to cut this part out, post it on YouTube, and tag your band. But please, enlighten our listeners.
Look, you know what wrestling has taught me? What wrestling has taught me in the past 6 months of watching it? The value of having the ability to book properly, all right? Book people that work well together. Book people that have heat, all right? Book people that can drum up some sort of buzz or business in the room. Not booking fucking your friends who are also in bands, kind of maybe. They play instruments in a room together. Like, there was one band. I'm not going to name them, but there was one band that played right before we played, clearly as a favor to because the guy was doing sound for the show, which, by the way, sucked. This band fucking cleared out the room. They were just not booked well. They had the right gear wasn't in place. Look, fuck. It's just if you're gonna be a booker, know what the fuck you're doing, or else I'm gonna be really, really sad. Then you just end up with
Tony.
Ugh.
Oh wait, I'm not talking about your Tony. I'm talking about Tony Khan.
Yeah, Tony.
As I said that, I went, oh wait, no, not that Tony, other Tony.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. I can't talk about it anymore because the context that the listeners will need for me to properly explain everything that has happened is just too much.
Kill our already minuscule listenership as it is.
Yeah. So let's dive into the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber more or less just kicks off with the women's EC. It just kind of gets going. I don't remember any promos at the beginning. Anybody talking out in the middle of the match or middle of the ring? Just anybody?
There was a pre-show match for the tag team championship. It was, I think, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus
right.
Who are the women's tags right now?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Kabuki Warriors. That was the initial one. Nothing special.
Nothing.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, but it was for Indy Hartwell because she's from Australia, so they wanted to give her due diligence. But she's not like too high up in the rankings right now in terms of, is she on one of the main rosters for Raw or SmackDown, or is she still like in the NXT realm?
I don't think she's official. She's like in that free agent status that they like to use.
Right, yeah. Still working for WWE, but floats around to wherever they need her to be. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, then there was that pre-match. I didn't watch it. Congratulations to Kabuki Warriors for retaining. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I didn't watch the match.
Okay, so we started off with the Women's Elimination Chamber. I was pretty excited for this one. I thought it was a pretty good crew going into it, and pretty much thought it was a foregone conclusion that Becky was going to win moving into it.
Yep.
And, I mean, this entire pay-per-view was kind of like that.
Yeah. The entire pay-per-view was like that. So we knew kind of right from the beginning that Becky was going in. So the real question here now is how well is the performance going to be? It's Elimination Chamber. It's not one of the main PLEs, but it is a fun one when shit goes down. There's been some great matches in the past with PLEs. Actually, one of my favorite matches of all time is a Elimination Chamber with I think it's Undertaker. I can't remember everybody that's in there, but Edge and Rey Mysterio are in there. And one of my favorite spots ever is like Edge. He like attacks the person that's supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber as he's like coming into the ring, and it takes a spot. And then when the match is going on,
I know that one.
Everybody's pissed at Edge because he's just taking his spot. And then his door opens, and Rey Mysterio just comes flying in with the flying elbow, and you just hear You just hear faintly in the background from the microphones, Edge just going, ah! It's funniest goddamn thing to me ever. Just Edge going, ah! And Rey Mysterio just fucking him up. But so like I said, the question here is the performance. So right at the beginning here, we have Becky and Naomi starting off, and I thought this was very weak. And I've seen Becky wrestle quite well, but Naomi to me seemed like she's still a little not green, but maybe not as warmed up as she should be for a match of this caliber. So there was a lot of like weird spots in this. There was one particular spot with her and Becky where they were like holding onto each other's foot and they're like talking to each other like, I'm going to put my foot down if you put your foot down, that sort of thing. And I was like, what is going on here? But luckily, Tiffany Stratton is number 3 into the Elimination Chamber. And once she enters the ring, the show starts. She puts on... honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Tiffany Stratton, performance of the night.
Yeah, she really showed up for this one. Like, I didn't anticipate her really seizing the moment like this, but she really came and showed out. The whole match itself was good. I think it was a very good EC match. I think that the balance was there. The only thing... There wasn't a lot of rough spots except for the waiting. There was a lot of points in the match where you could tell people were waiting for other people to get in a position, and it really took me out of it. Yeah.
And, I mean, I think there were a couple of rough spots with the people who have just returned after a long time, and I'm specifically talking about Naomi and Liv. I think there was, right. I have it in my notes here that like Liv and Naomi had a couple really rough spots. But Raquel Rodriguez, she came in there. She acted as the giant that she needed to. But yeah, like I said, Tiffany Stratton was the one that had the star power from this match. Like she was, as soon as she entered, I think she started off with just a bruiser of a clothesline to, I think, Naomi, just going like, all right, we're wrestling, guys. It's Elimination Chamber. We're in Australia. It's hot as fuck. There's a million people. I mean, not a million people, but we have this huge, giant stadium. And I do want to talk about the stadium a little bit here. But like I said earlier, Tiffany Stratton, she hits. You know, she wants to get hit. She hits. And there was a couple great spots. Like the one that I'm thinking of particularly is the Swanton Bomb off the pod, which is great. And I've seen her do that before on an NXT PLE where she did a Swanton Bomb off I think it was like their version of War Games. It was like a miniature War Games or something like that where they put people in these it doesn't matter. But she did a Swanton off that, and she stole the show at that PLE as well. So yeah, big kudos to Tiffany Stratton in this particular EC match. But other than that, I don't remember any other spots that come to mind that I was like, oh, that was interesting. Like there was one where Liv jumped off the pod as well and like sat on, I think it was Naomi, like while she was like hung up on the ropes there. I thought that was cool, but not near. I just love a good Swanton Bomb. I just love a great Swanton Bomb. Get me more of those. I'll watch them all day.
It was a solid match all around. It's just there was nothing really that stuck out as like a defining moment, but I thought it was pretty well done. I was surprised. I mean, you always get this in like, you got it in Puerto Rico, you get it in Canada to some extent, you got it in Australia. You get these shows where you are in a country where you never go. You get a lot of the smart fans out there who are not going to really stick to the narrative. And I did notice that like Raquel Rodriguez didn't really get very much in the way of crowd support, but everyone was behind Tiffany Stratton, and I think it's because they understand how impressive she is.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised that for someone who's essentially a pure heel character, she was getting quite a bit of pop from the crowd for what she was doing. I don't know if it was appreciation of what she had done already in that match or just the smart crowd knowing what she's done already and that like she's going to be a big player moving forward, but they kind of threw a little bit of a wrench into it to some extent. But yeah, I know it was a solid match, and I thought it was a good intro into the PLE.
Yeah, it ended kind of quick. I think if there's a really like rough spot, I think, of the match is like how it ended. I don't know. I don't think it was rough. I heard other people thought it was rough, but I did kind of, I was okay with like a very quick ending where Becky just kind of got the pin kind of like almost unceremoniously, but it was already at a point in that match where I was like, okay, we got to start getting into the end game here. And then they just ended it. So I appreciate
it was some shades of Bayley's win at Royal Rumble. Like kind of
right.
Everything happened very quickly right at the end. And then it was over. Right,
yeah. So I appreciate the fact that it didn't overstay its welcome. As I said, this was a showcase for Tiffany Stratton, and we're going to see her obviously do some crazy things in the future.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So then we move into the tag team match, New Catch Republic versus Judgment Day, or more specifically, Damian Priest and Finn Balor.
Yep.
NCR had a new United theme going out there, their own music specifically for them coming out.
Yep.
Which was kind of a bit overdue. I liked the little bit of R-Truth thinking that the event was in Austria.
Oh, yeah.
He posted something on social media where he was in Austria.
I love that, yeah.
Fucking so stupid, but very well done.
Oh, man. I love that video. Him just like, I went to the stadium. I went to the hotel. Where are all you people at? Fantastic stuff. At one point, like before we get into this match, which I don't think we'll end up talking about too much, I thought it was fine. They worked, but it wasn't too crazy in my mind. But before we talk about it, I do want to talk about the stadium in and of itself, because I thought the stadium size affected the experience a little bit. It's so goddamn big. It's so big. And
well, it's tough, right? It's a cricket pitch.
It's a cricket pitch.
It's difficult with cricket because you need a lot of space. You need a lot of square footage for a cricket pitch that's on the flatland. And you see these, like, as someone who watches quite a bit of cricket, this is the general layout of most of these stadiums. It's just that there's so much space on the playing field that it's difficult to kind of convert it for an event like this where you're moving into a ring that is so much smaller. You know, if it's like a basketball venue, the court is really not that much bigger width-wise than a WWE ring plus the outside area. So the sight lines are a lot better. But you could see when they were doing the aerial shots, and especially because they had to have the Elimination Chamber, so they had to have a structure in the middle capable of supporting the Elimination Chamber. So they had these pillars jutting out on all four corners, and so it blocked the sight lines. So the fans were kind of fanned out into four triangles on the playing field.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, if you're sitting, they showed some shots of the stands themselves, and in the second bowl, like in the second ring, like it was so far away from the actual action.
Yeah. At that point, you're spending $150, $200 for a ticket where of which you'll be mostly watching a screen with no commentary, which is rough. That's rough. And then you add on top of that there's this really dark steel cage that covers the most important matches of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it can't be fun to watch that. You're already at that distance, and now maybe you have like a giant bar of the Elimination Chamber blocking your view from the actual action itself. Like, it can't be an enjoyable experience. I guess, like, if you're a WWE fan and you're in Perth, they're never going to come back, or you have to imagine it's going to be years. It could be a decade before they're back, right? So you do it anyways, and then you can watch it back or whatever. But just so you could say you were there, it's understandable. I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
If you know they don't even come to our hometown very often because our building is so old. But I'm sure once we get our new arena built, they're going to come back a lot more because, you know, Calgary is a hotbed of wrestling.
Oh, man.
And the crowds are always great.
Oh, yeah. We bring it. We bring it here. And one last thing before... you know what? I'm going to save it for the Cody segment. Because I was also looking out into the crowd, And we all know, like, no shade to our Australian friends, but you guys have a darker sense of humor than I think that the general audience is probably used to. And I want to talk about it when we get to the Cody segment. But the Priest Balor New Catch Republic match. Why did I say it like that? New Catch Republic versus Judgment Day. I thought it was overall fine. There was no spots that I have in my notes here that I was like particularly interested, but I was like, two thoughts came to mind. One thought was at the very end, like, do you think? I think it's clear now that Balor didn't break his thumb after watching Raw, but it did look like for a second there that he did break his thumb, and he was selling really well because he was holding onto his thumb and it was bleeding at the knuckle, and I was like, oh god, did Pete Dunne just like break his fucking thumb? And the way that he fell on his thumb when he did the coup de grace at the very end, it looked like he could have fell on it weird and broke it that way. But then after watching Raw, he seemed fine because I don't see.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember this at all.
Fair enough.
We're getting into the point of this pay-per-view where it's now probably 4 a.m. I'm 6 drinks deep. I got 2 very close, my closest friend and my fiance just talking back and forth, having no interest in wrestling. I'm sitting there trying to make notes, and I give up during this match.
Fair enough.
My last note for this entire pay-per-view is Steve - from Steve, because at this point he had hijacked my computer and was just typing shit.
Fantastic.
So you're gonna have to carry the football here for the rest of the match.
All right.
The PLE.
Okay, so then the other thought that I had here with the Judgment Day and NCR match was, do you think that Pete Dunne is Solo Sikoa's kryptonite with all the finger work that he does?
I have not thought about this, but I love the pitch. That this is the way we get rid of Solo, is by having a joint manipulation master who can truly just fuck the shit out of his thumb.
I think that might be a way. But honestly, I'm starting to really love Solo more and more ever since I've read that comment of his thumb talking to him. Because it works every time. Every single time we see Solo looking at his thumb, I just imagine the thumb going, yes, you did good. You did good. Put me in the throat.
Him, Solo.
Yes, Solo.
Put me everywhere.
Maybe he talks like Jabba. Chuta.
Una gina geta chuta ulde thumbo.
There we go. Yeah, and then obviously, like, nobody's surprised by this. Judgment Day retain their tag team championship. Nothing too crazy. There was the other thing was, while during the match, like, Dom is out there with them, and Dom is getting just destroyed by the crowd. Like, anytime Dom does anything,
mercilessly booed.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, the Australian crowd is just like, they get into it, and when they want to be mean, they will, and it'll be awesome. And Dom is the perfect guy to be mean to. And it got so bad that they actually had to, like, cut to black on the broadcast. I thought it was just a problem with, like, a technical issue, but they purposely cut to black on the broadcast for, like, maybe 30 seconds. Maybe not that much, but it felt like 30 seconds because the crowd was flipping off Dom in the front row, and we're talking hundreds of people.
They really should have just kept it.
Just keep it in. It's a PLE.
It's 3 a.m. Like, it's a fucking. You can have someone get smashed in the face and accidentally bleeding everywhere, but you can't show someone flipping the bird.
Well, they do, though.
Talk about mommy's always on top and all of this other shit, and you can't. I thought it was really fucking stupid of them to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that should be. Just do away with that. Just own the 14A. Like, we're not PG anymore. We're trying to get people to bleed on camera. Own the 14A a little bit. Let's just go, right? But yeah, the Australian crowd was just brutal to Dom, and Dom soaked it up as much as he could. I felt like there was moments where he just, like, kind of ducked out, and then eventually he got I think it was this match where he was told to fuck off. They kicked him out of the match entirely.
Did they give him the boot? I think they did give him the boot.
I think they gave him a boot.
Somewhat recall this.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a reliable narrator here.
Yeah, and I suck at taking notes because it was a busy weekend for me. But they do give him the boot, and I'm loving the Australian crowd more and more and more. And then I think that's it for this particular match. We can move on to the biggest disappointment of my evening, which was the Cody, Seth Rollins, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory segment, the Grayson Waller effect. So, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, they've been hinting at this Grayson Waller thing with the Bloodline. Like, we saw a shot of Grayson Waller outside the dressing room of the Bloodline with Paul Heyman, and they're just talking. There's no mics on them. It's just a quick little segment. And then there was a segment on the Friday Night Smackdown the night before from the pre-recorded one, where they bring Waller into the Bloodline's dressing room, and Roman Reigns says something along the lines to the effect of, like, there is something I have to tell you. And then it cuts. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're going to lead into something. And what precedes here is probably the most garden variety, generic segment that they could possibly cook up with all this build up. Like, it's so much nothing. And it drives me nuts. The only piece of entertainment that I have from this, and this goes back to the Australian crowd again, is that I'm looking out to the crowd and I'm seeing the signs, and I'm wondering, like, while I'm watching this, like, what's going to be the drop? Like, what is going to be said here? And we talked about this at your party later on that Saturday night, where what if they brought in The Rock? They somehow snuck The Rock through customs and security and just kept him under a blanket or something like that, put him in a giant suitcase. They just secretly transported him all the way to the stadium, because I would love to see the crowd's reaction to The Rock, because based on the posters that I was seeing out there, which were the Die Rocky Die posters and Rocky Sucks posters, like the Die Rocky Die one is a fucking brutal one, especially post like death threats to his daughter on NXT in the last few weeks. Like, it's nerve-wracking. But if they did bring The Rock, I wonder how the Australian crowd would have taken it. I feel like they would have chewed him out alive, but also in a way that's so, like, celebratory, because how many times are you going to see The Rock in Australia in a WWE ring, right? Probably not going to be very often. But none of that happens. Instead, we get a Grayson Waller effect where Waller takes a shoey, Austin Theory pretends he's The Rock for about 15 seconds, and then we get a Cody Cutter, we get a stomp, and then we get a crossroads, and that's about it. And with the piece of information to take from this is that Cody is challenging The Rock to a match anytime, quote, anytime, anywhere. And I think Seth followed that up with, like, you're going to need backup. You're going to need a team. You're going to need the Avengers. Not to that effect, but you know what I mean. And that's it. That is everything that we get from this segment. It's nothing. And it drove me nuts. Like, I was like, what is Bloodline, like, developing their faction a little bit more, getting the roster's heels on the same page so that they can go duke it out at Endgame WrestleMania 40? No, they didn't do that. They kind of did, but they're not doing it to at the speed or the extent that I think they should. And I'm like, guys, you have a writing team. Fucking do shit. Like, you don't need The Rock there, but certainly some members of the Bloodline there to mix it up and develop the story a little bit would be awesome. But they didn't do it. They just didn't do it. It was a waste. It was a waste of a segment for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was a weird segment, and I not only because of the fact that, like, nothing really happened. I thought it was weird for numerous reasons. One, the crowd wants to cheer Waller. You know?
Yes.
He's one of the few Australian guys on here. Bronson Reed didn't end up making the trip. Turns out that he he just had a kid. He had a kid like 2 days ago. So it turns out I think that's the real reason why they didn't send him over there, was because his wife was like about to burst at any point. I think the original plan I read was him fighting Rollins for the championship. But when Rollins got hurt, they knew they would have to put that away. So I feel bad for Bronson, honestly, because he misses out on the home PLE. He misses out on, getting to perform in his home country with WWE. But on the other hand, he gets to have a kid. So congratulations to Bronson Reed. But yeah, the crowd wants to cheer Waller. And they kind of have it both ways here, where at the end of the day, it's Cody and Rollins just beating the living hell out of Theory, which the crowd loves, and Waller like cowering in a corner, potentially sowing seeds for a breakup for those two, but I feel like they haven't really been around together long enough to justify it, and they kind of touch on it on SmackDown, on Raw, and we'll talk about it when we get to Raw.
A little bit, but I think there's actually a little bit, I think there's some more legs for Waller and Theory if you add Paul to the mix. That could go a little bit further with the makeup there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was it was weird for him to call out The Rock, because I don't know where you're going to fit that match in. I'm a little worried that we're headed into like tag team competition here. I mean, the Rollins and Drew shit's already pretty much set. That's spoiler alert for EC if you're listening to this. Drew wins. And they've already kind of settled that period. They've done Reigns, Cody period, so there's not a lot of room to make that in, but maybe like a night 1, night 2 situation where Cody's fighting The Rock on night 1 and then fighting Reigns on night 2.
Yeah,
I don't really know where they're going with this call out, but they've got my attention.
I don't know either. We've talked about this before. I mean, this is the fun. This is the fun that you can have as the fan watching, just going like, what the fuck are they going to do? And I've heard the night 1, night 2 pitch plenty of times from like numerous sources. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on this show, but I've definitely mentioned to other friends that watch wrestling. My pitch would be that the idea is that, maybe they bamboozle us and say right at the beginning that it's going to be a tag team match, right? Seth and Cody versus Roman and Rock, right? But you still have to have Seth and McIntyre for WrestleMania. So what I would do is like maybe in kayfabe. Now I'm not saying I'm right, but this is something that I would like make my heart happy. I say in kayfabe after the Drew McIntyre match, or maybe immediately after, you have Seth Rollins get injured, possibly by the Bloodline itself. You know what I mean? Because we get a little nugget of that during the Monday Night Raw. Then it becomes a handicap tag team match with Cody Rhodes versus Rock and Roman. To me, that sounds fucking rad. I would love to see a Rock and Roman versus Cody handicap match, just to take Cody to the stratosphere, baby. Put him so over. He's tough. Climbed all the mountains.
Realistically booking him to win that, though.
It is tough.
Well, we'll see where they go with it. Let's just move on for now to the men's EC.
Men's EC, baby.
I thought it was really good. We got KO and we got Logan, and we got LA Knight, we got Drew, and we got Lashley, and we've got who's our sixth? Who am I missing here?
Drew, Lashley, Paul
KO,
LA Knight, and Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, thank you. Stacked lineup for an Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, nothing but
immediately going into
it.
That's the first thing you think of is like, holy crap, this thing is absolutely, it's got a lot of talent going on in it.
Yeah.
Just general thoughts for me, because I don't have notes. I thought it was well paced. I thought everyone did a good job. It was safe but aggressive. They did a good job of selling the cage. They did a good job of. I thought it was unique not having you know, like I said earlier in this podcast, and I said last week too, I really thought we were headed for like a Logan KO intro, and then, you know, a Drew LA Knight is the last two to help build those storylines. But I think they're kind of pivoting away from Logan KO, and it looks like they're heading to Logan Randy at WrestleMania.
Really interesting development there, because I love KO and Paul. I love them together. In fact, for our listeners, I think while I was watching this match the next morning, I was pitching Tyler a odd couple tag team alliance between Paul and Logan, where they hate each other, but somehow say their rivalry gets to such a heated point where Nick Aldis is like, fuck it, you guys are going to be in a tag team and you're going to learn how to like work with each other. And I would love to see a match where they are forced to work with each other, but they like hate each other at the same time.
The promos would be amazing, or they would be
so good.
Terrible. It would be one or the other.
Yeah, it would be one or the other. But so far, the promos for both of them have been great. The entry of Logan Paul as he walks into the Elimination Chamber and he goes up to KO's cage, and KO just starts banging his head on the fiber or on the plexiglass
I really
wall.
like that. It's good.
So funny. And he's like, what's going on? And I don't know if you saw this online. I think Logan Paul shared it on his Instagram, is that Logan Paul in the chamber has a mic with him, like one of those small like remote mics that you can connect to a phone. He's in there.
Oh, yeah, like a lavalier or whatever. I think it's called.
Yeah, but like a remote lav type of mic
right,
that you can connect through like just a phone, like
a curling mic.
Yeah, something like that. And he's in there and he's talking while the match is going on, and he's constantly just. It's so good. So he goes in there with like a Sharpie. So he's like drawing on the he's drawing on the plexiglass. Like he drew devil horns on there. He's like, yeah, because I'm the demon. And then he wrote Kevin sucks. And they drew like a roly-poly-oly stickman figure, like this crude drawing. And he just points to it, and he's like, "That's to scale as well." And he's like, and Kevin Owens is like laying down in front of Logan's pod. He's like, "That's him right there. Look, that guy sucks." And then smash cut to KO being in Logan's pod, smashing the shit out of him, just going. Ah!
I gotta watch this. That sounds great.
It was
a fun match. What was the big spot out of this one? What was I'm trying to remember what the big did Paul go off the top of the chamber?
Well, Paul going off the chamber was great. I was surprised of how long he stayed on the ground. I thought he was going to have a few more high flying spots, and he didn't. I think the big spot for me where I went, holy shit, that looked like that hurt, was when KO speared Paul through one of the pods.
Yeah. And I forgot about all of this, honestly. Again,
that
just put it in perspective, it's 5 a.m. at this point. I've been up for 20 hours. I'm drinking more and more. But I do remember that spot. That spear looked gnarly as fuck.
That spear was gnarly. So I really do appreciate Paul and the bumps he takes when he's up against KO. Now, I don't know if KO is just beating the shit out of him, because I don't know if they actually don't like each other. But Paul is taking bumps. Like, he is taking legitimate, like, the shit that he's doing hurts. That's not fun. And I just gotta appreciate that. Another note that I have here is that on the counter, so this match in particular is the Slim Jim match, quote unquote. So the counter that they have for the Elimination Chamber, the ones are Slim Jims, but they fuck up like a couple of times in terms of the counting.
Times.
A couple of times.
4 times.
And I think
like
it had
all
to
4
do.
times.
I think it had to do with the fact that they were using a Slim Jim counter, and the Slim Jims were making people confused.
I certainly had no fucking clue what was going on in the first one, I remember. And then the second one, it seemed to be a little... But it didn't seem to just be a misreading of the numbers. It seemed to be that legitimately the first time, like, started at 5 or something. They, like, started on a different number on the television than they did in the stadium. So the stadium was chanting something else than what the thing said.
Yeah.
But then the chambers opened based on the TV numbers, not the crowd numbers. A little bit of it was rough. It was probably the darkest part of this match, honestly. The worst part of it.
Yeah. And now the other piece of the puzzle that's worth mentioning here, there's two more pieces here. The AJ Styles spot where he came in and just beat the shit out of LA Knight with that chair. Beat the shit out of him. Oh.
Yeah, and I have a big problem with this. Not the AJ stuff, just
it's about the
realism.
Rules.
It's the realism and the rules and the construction of said rules. And it bothers me with Royal Rumble. I don't remember if I meant to talk about it on our Royal Rumble episode, but it was our first episode, so I don't think I got around to it. It's I just need you to pick rules and stick with them. That's the big thing. I need you to decide what's going to be fair and what's not if this was a legitimate physical endeavor with no predetermined winners. I don't like the interference because it's so obvious. Everyone sees it. And so the referee is just supposed to ignore the fact that AJ ran in there with a chair and beat the living hell out of them. I don't know what the answer would be at that point, like how you would rectify that or resolve that in storyline. But like, at least have someone going in there to try to break it up. Like, we have other instances where we're breaking up fights all the time.
Yeah.
But we're not breaking it up on this when it's like such a premier event and AJ's in there beating it. It just bothers me because it makes little sense. I understand the booking decision. I understand wanting Drew to win, but not wanting LA to be beat clean because he's still so over and kind of giving him an excuse leading up into Mania. And, you know, we've talked about how they've been building AJ and LA Knight, and they've kind of taken a step back from it. Up, like, since the Elimination Chamber qualifying match, you know, I was very shocked that AJ didn't go in and ruin LA's chances of qualifying on Raw, and then they left it until EC. So this all tracks and everything. It's just annoying to me, but it's fine. And then we get the Randy thing, you know, where Logan
pulls out the
Logan
knuckles.
Eliminated at that point?
Yeah, Logan was eliminated he had the knuckles, and then Randy RKO'd him, pinned him, eliminated him, and then got up, and then after like a quick spot somewhere around there, Logan sucker punches him with the knuckles, knocking him out, and then Drew either Logan pulls Drew on top of Randy. I don't think that happened. I think Drew just crawled onto Randy for the win. So it wasn't a clean win.
Right. So here's my question. I guess number one, do we see Logan versus Randy at WrestleMania? I think that's a pretty solid yes.
I'm down with that.
2, do we see Randy win the U.S. Championship?
I don't
think... It brings some prestige to the belt. It doesn't do much for Logan, but I feel like Logan's on borrowed time at all times anyways. He could just leave at any point. So did he sign up for this as a 6-month run? You know, I'll be U.S. champion into WrestleMania, and then I'll go away for a bit.
Possibly.
I'm not really sure what we're working with here. I don't hate... Like, I hate the idea of Randy winning the U.S. championship over Logan less than I hated Jay beating Gunther. So that's something.
Right.
It feels a little bit more right. It brings the prestige back to the U.S. Championship, which has kind of been floundering. But, like, who beats Randy then, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is, like, yeah, the prestige of the U.S. Championship was floundering, but I think it's been brought up a little bit more with the performance of Logan Paul over the past few months here. So,
yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for Randy to win the belt for it to like elevate the belt. To be honest, I'd see Logan carrying the belt after Mania as well, but against Randy is such a weird booking choice. I can see
you can't beat Randy clean.
You can't beat Randy clean. What you could do,
not
maybe
Logan.
What you could do, maybe, is a triple threat match with KO, Randy, and Logan.
Oh, yeah, you know, that works. Because KO was kind of stirring shit with Randy up at EC as well, kind of setting some some
Sure.
groundwork for the future for a triple threat. And that actually might work because then you get Logan going over, maybe not in a dirty win, but in a clean win where KO and Randy have taken each other out. And then Logan goes in and gets the scraps. He vultures the win.
That's fine. That sounds fine with me. It fits with the Logan character. KO is one of those guys that like he's malleable in terms of rivalries. Like he's not necessarily a full face. He's not necessarily a full heel. He's got his own priorities, but he has loyalties.
He can turn at any time.
He can turn at any time. You know, like it. I think that works. I think that could be something into the future. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how it rolls out.
All right, well, is there anything else you want to talk about with the men's EC, or do you want to move? I don't really want to talk much about the main event here. Do you have anything you want to talk about with EC?
No, I think that's everything with the with the men's chamber magic. We've covered everything. I personally like developing the story with developing the story with AJ and LA Knight a little bit more. You're right though, I'm with you. At first I was like super happy with it, but once you broke down like the fact that they bring in weapons and there's no disqualification inside the Elimination Chamber makes no sense because they're in the chamber. They shouldn't have access to weapons unless they actually go in with weapons, like a bat, a chair, a sledgehammer. A
like why have a DQ? Why is it no DQ in the EC when?
Yeah,
it doesn't have to just be no DQ or DQ. Can we have a middle ground where it's like there's no DQ in the environment, but if you bring something from the outside of the environment, it's a DQ.
Yeah,
and how do you quantify a DQ when there's 3 people left? Who gets the win if someone comes in and fucks up LA Knight? Like I understand the hurdles here, but like that's what booking is all about, is making those hard decisions and setting expectations for fans so that something doesn't feel as unsatisfying as that. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that it wraps up everything I can talk about with the EC match here. Overall, very happy with it. I think the odd man out was probably Bobby Lashley, although he put on a performance. He had some great spears with everybody. I think he put KO through a pod as well. It didn't look as brutal as Logan Paul. I could be wrong there. Maybe something else happened, but I saw a few.
No, they
Lashley
did a good job
spears.
of neutralizing Bobby before he even stepped in the cage. Like I said, you got to distract Bobby. You can't. There has to be a reason he's not going for the title. And if it's a blood feud with Karrion Kross, that's fine with me. There's just, you have to delay him because he is inevitable. And especially with Lesnar gone, it's basically he's the only guy that really fits that mold. A lot of the big boys over the last few years have been removed from WWE. And especially like big athletic guys, it's basically just Bobby now with, Lesnar chasing pea showers in Saskatchewan. You really you have to distract him from that main event position, and I think the elbow work that they did on Smackdown was really smart writing. And for a storyline I really don't have any attention with or patience for, bravo to them for getting me over on that aspect of it. So let's move into the women's championship match as the main event. I don't have much to say here. I thought Nia did a better job than normal. I'll give her that. But at the end of the day, it's a main event in front of all these people, and she is nowhere near Rhea Ripley's level.
No. And on top of that, you have Rhea with the crowd behind her in her hometown. Like, we all know what's going down here. There's no friggin' way that Rhea's losing the belt in Perth. Not happening. I agree. Like, I didn't actually take any notes during this match either. Not because I didn't like it. It was just, I think what it was is because I knew the outcome. Like, this one, out of all the matches, and we all knew the outcome of all the matches here, this match was
this
like
one
the most
especially felt inevitable.
Inevitable, yeah. So I felt a little disconnected with the overall work inside the ring. I agree. Like, Rhea Ripley's like, she's a superstar. Like, she's a legend already. I think for me, like, the only thing that I thought was worth mentioning, like, is just kind of how much of a face they let her be in this episode, or in this, not episode, but in this match, where she had moments with her family that they showed. Like they had her like interact with the crowd a lot more. And I can buy Rhea in this gimmick as a face. I don't know how they're going to do it to like bring it over to full face, but how they've been working it with Nia makes sense to me. And it's going to feel weird when you switch back to Rhea being the heel for Becky, because Becky's not a heel.
It's interesting because Rhea's been over as a face for a long time, and for the majority of even dating back to the Edge Judgment Day. I don't know. Right. I don't know if you know this, but that's where it started. Edge formed Judgment Day, right? She's consistently been over to a large degree, despite her position within a most hated heel faction. It will be interesting at Mania to see her versus Becky. I think maybe it's going to be a Rock Hogan type thing where they kind of go in there with some ideas and then play off the crowd and see what Philly has to say about it, and then work the match with the idea of the crowd dictating how it's going to go.
Okay.
Because there is no clean, like, yes, on its face it looks pretty simple. You know, you got the Becky who's the true face, and Rhea's the heel, but you know, Rhea, if Judgment Day doesn't go out with her, especially Dom, then she's getting nothing but cheers. And a smart crowd, especially at Mania, is going to be firmly behind Rhea, in my opinion. But it's going to be a mix. It's going to be probably a 60-40 situation. And I don't see Becky winning that belt. I think you kind of have a good excuse here you can go either way with it. You can have Becky turn heel and do something really fucked and really push Rhea over on face. You may have the Judgment Day crumbled already at that point from actions that have happened on night one. I'm assuming it's probably going to be the second main event on night 2, if I had to guess.
Right.
It's probably Bayley and Io are going to be night 1.
That tracks, yeah.
Well, it's hard to say though, because sometimes there's been years where they've balanced it, and there's been years where they've end loaded it and had all the big ones on night 2. Anyways, I could also see Rhea doing something horrendous and them making an attempt to put Rhea over as a true heel and trying to really push her into that stratosphere and beating the living hell out of Becky. And if Seth also loses, maybe giving Seth and Becky some time off together, which would be, I mean, they've earned it. There is a path there for them for Becky to get incredibly injured and for Seth to go the distance with Drew and lose and then have some time off to recoup his injuries, and then maybe giving them some time off together. But we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. This match was rote. We knew what was happening. Again, I thought Nia did an okay job for her. I'll give her some props. I don't do it a lot here. I don't like her. I want her to go
not for
away.
Nia.
But I think she did have a fairly decent match, and she played the heel well, and she worked the crowd. She stuck to her limits. She sold really well for Rhea where she could. I will give her credit, but the match itself was of poor quality all around.
Yeah. You know what? I'll side with you on that. I think the emotional value at the end of the match, I thought I resonated with, because we got to see Rhea a little bit out of character, and you know, I can get behind, you know, being the hometown hero, and just like, I mean, you got to think like this girl's 27, you know, 28 years old, like the same age as me, and here she is at home, in front of her family, in front of her country, being one of the biggest superstars of her caliber, like ever, really, like.
And having not wrestled in Australia in like 5 or 6 years or something, it was pre-COVID.
It's so long. So I'm really happy that she got that moment. I feel like it's well deserved. That's all.
Absolutely,
that's
super happy for her.
Yeah, super happy. Like,
shall we move into Raw?
Yeah, let's dive into Raw here. I wonder, like, should we do piece by piece here, or should we just like look at the highlights?
I mean, we're probably running about an hour 20 at this point with cuts. So let's just go into it with an idea of being a quick rundown.
All right.
But we've got Raw here coming from the SAP Center in San Jose, California, which makes sense. Send them right back across the pond and get them somewhere in California where there's not a lot of travel. Dom comes out, leads us off, getting booed hard, introduces Rhea. Crowd goes wild. She's basking in her glory, and Becky comes out to interrupt. Becky gives her some props, gives her flowers, congratulates her. Takes some shots at Dom, which was pretty great. Rhea just playing a great middle ground face here, just playing it cool, saying, "Are you done?" when she's done.
Yeah.
Cuts a decent promo centered around the man. The man always thinks they're the best. The man always thinks that they're responsible for everything that happens in this world. Behind every great man is a great woman. Really liked the promo. Thought it was incredibly solid. Really appreciated the angle they went with it, kind of playing into it with the chauvinism. Thought it was a very, very well done. And then here comes Nia Jax to fucking ruin it. And she beats the shit out of Becky because Becky needs something to do until Mania. That's basically the only reason. It's going to lead up to a match on Smackdown or Raw where Becky beats Nia.
Yeah.
And proves that she's just as good as Rhea, and they'll give it another week, and then it'll be Mania.
Yeah.
Officials come in, break it up, yada yada. Anything else you want to say about this one?
No. I think Adam Pearce came out for this specific official breakup spot, and I saw a clip of him just threatening to fine Nia Jax for the attack, and then I think this sets up their. Did they have a match later this night, or am I imagining that?
No.
Okay.
They're just building it up for the future.
Building up. All right, never mind.
I did like the Adam Pearce moment where Nia Jax was waiting for him to hold the rope for her.
Yeah,
he was like, "I'm not holding the rope for you.
I'm not holding the rope for you.
Get the fuck out of here. You're a piece of shit. You fucked up. Get out of here, bud."
I love that.
So then we move right into Sammy versus Nakamura, and Sammy desperately needs a win here. In my opinion, walking into this match, I'm like, if Sammy loses, he's turning heel.
Good.
It's a back and forth match.
Good guess.
They've fought a couple times in front of us in the last a couple times, or at least that one match.
Once or
balanced.
twice,
Back and forth match, very balanced, very professional. Both people got their work in. Everything was very smooth. They both work a very similar style in a way
very
you might not really
loose,
appreciate.
Kind of like erratic sort of style, this very I don't know, rubbery is probably the word that I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of here.
Somewhere between cruiserweight and big man stuff. Very intercontinental, very USA Championship, very. Mid-card, not bruisers, but very technically sound. Very Owen Hart. Their styles are very Owen Hart.
Like you said, my thought going into this, seeing this, to me, I was just I'm okay with this because I know exactly what I'm getting here. I'm getting a solid match between two well-worked professionals who know exactly what they need to do. They've got good crowd psychology. They know what they're doing. They know how to work safe, but they also know how to work a little bit dangerously. Those haluva kicks, sometimes you got to eat those fucking things. It doesn't look fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, or even the Kinshasas, right? When Nakamura hit that Kinshasa off the top rope, that was pretty gnarly. It was pretty gnarly look, and I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a worked one of those.
And I love that. I love that when they accept the hit. Just take the bump. Just take the fucking bump. It's fine. It's fine. If you just hit each other in the meat, just do it. And that's what we got here. We got exactly the package that we needed. And ultimately, Sammy does get the win at the end. I think he hits a blue bomber, or what do we call that again? Was it a blue bomber?
Yeah,
Blue Thunder.
That was I was talking about earlier. He hit the blue thunder bomb and another kick out. And I was just thinking, God damn it, Sammy. We just, can you just please have him beat, I don't know, someone who's, like one of the pretty deadly guys, someone
boys.
like that. can we just get him a win with a Blue Thunder Bomb over someone who's not like a jobber, but who's also, not a main event superstar? Just like give that move a win, for God's sakes. But yeah, I like the spot with him breaking the 10 count, and then they moved into the false finishes, and then Sammy got the win clean. Really liked that. I don't know where they're going with him. There was some rumblings through some of my friends that watch wrestling that they want to see Sammy join in on the Drew Rollins match as a triple threat. Not really here for that, but I understand the impetus. I think everyone wants to reward Sammy for the work he's done, but you have to remember that I don't know how realistic it is to have him be a world champion. And I hate it, but he's just not really there right now.
No, he's not there now, but I could see, like, they teased it a little bit here after his win in a promo, where Gunther and him might spark some rivalry.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there, because I have some thoughts about that.
Okay, cool.
So quickly, we have Chelsea Green and Raquel Rodriguez. I wanted to touch on something that I think we may have cut out from earlier from the show. So the whole Rachel Rodriguez thing. So from my understanding, or did I say Rachel? I write Rachel every fucking time. Raquel went by Raquel Gonzalez in NXT. And then inexplicably, when they brought her up, they changed it to Rodriguez out of nowhere for no fucking reason. I think maybe her name is actually Raquel Gonzalez, and they try to avoid using their real names because they want to protect the IP, whatever.
Sure.
So I was watching the press conference for EC before it happened because I was bored at work. And I threw it on for a bit, and Triple H called her Raquel Gonzalez. And I thought he slipped up. And I knew about the Gonzalez-Rodriguez thing when I heard that. So I looked it up. And then someone had posted an article saying they were returning her name to Gonzalez. And then I stopped watching the press conference because I got busier at work and it really wasn't that entertaining. There was nothing wild going on, so I didn't feel a need to go back. Then she got introduced at Elimination Chamber as Rodriguez. I also want to touch on the fact that this poor woman, you saw her face, right?
Yes, I did.
Like, I feel so fucking bad for her. Like, for those of you who are unaware, she has like an autoimmune disease thing. I might be classifying it, but
right.
She has a syndrome that makes her allergic to more things than normal, and so she can just break out. So if something happened on the flight or before the flight or somewhere between her last appearance and her appearance at EC, her face had just blown the fuck up. And I feel so bad for her that she's got to walk out and deal with these trolls on the internet calling her all kinds of names because she had an allergic reaction. It still hadn't settled by Raw when she came out.
Yeah.
But anyways, they called her Rodriguez during the actual Elimination Chamber. Those people who posted those articles were probably just like trying to get ahead of the game and going, Triple H confirms that she's Gonzalez again. Because I thought I had missed something from the press conference when I read those articles. But no.
Right.
She's still Rodriguez. He just misspoke because that's her actual name. And he knows all of their actual names because he's their boss. So Chelsea Green versus Raquel Rodriguez. They played a promo for CM Punk being in WWE 2K.
Mm-hmm.
But then they came back from the package and they talked about McAfee being in it, which was a bit weird.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they were talking about, like, I think they were I think just that day they announced that CM Punk is going to be part of the roster for 2K24, which, by the way, we are fucking getting. I'm getting 2K24.
I don't know if I'm getting it anymore because I made a mistake.
Okay.
I woke up. I had Monday off. I took Monday off to recover from my birthday. Woke up early, and I downloaded Baldur's Gate 3.
No.
And let me tell you, it's been fantastic.
Yeah,
but
no,
it is.
I'll see you later.
I've been dreaming about it. I've been at work thinking about strategies. Anyway, okay, this is not a video game podcast. All I'm saying is I'm going to download WWE 2K. It's probably going to be a month or two later than I thought it was going to be because I was ready to buy it on day one and then I bought Baldur's Gate for myself as a birthday gift. And
that's totally fair.
It's so fucking sick.
It's really good. It is really good. It's really good.
It's so unbelievably good. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, I just found it weird that the announcement was centered around CM Punk coming in, but then Cole and McAfee really focused on McAfee being in it. But I think because at first I thought they just confused it, and there was going to be another promo later for McAfee being in it, and they switched them or something.
No,
but I think it's because they, at the end of the CM Punk promo, they showed a clip of, they showed a screenshot of all these people who were going to get added, and McAfee happened to be a part of that, and that's why they talked about it.
And that's why Cole went like, "Oh, you're going to be a part of it," and McAfee was like, "Yes, I'm going to be a part of it." Blah 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 blah. So yeah. I think I saw where your confusion could come from, but it made sense to me when you saw the name.
Okay, cool.
In there, or saw
Chelsea Green and Raquel Rodriguez, they send Chelsea out there with a mic, and she cuts a classic heel promo against the crowd, just shitting all over San Jose and the Sharks and everything about the area. And then Raquel comes in and does her squash thing. Anything you want to mention about this match other than that? It was pretty straightforward.
No, there's nothing really to mention. I don't know if I'm there's part of me that are like of two minds when it comes to the squash match, because they are a thing. They happen. Braun Breaker and Dante Chen, AOP, and those two other guys.
Oh, those poor two guys.
Yeah, and then we got Raquel Rodriguez and Chelsea Green, and I'm of two minds. Like, I love squash matches because they are a great like little snack. So it's just a little treat. Like, especially when you have somebody like Braun Breaker who can go like 24 kilometers in a bouncing off the ropes. And then do a spear that looks like a fucking freight train hits them. That I love that stuff. But at the same time, if it's only going to last maybe 2 minutes on screen, what's the point of actually doing doing the match? You know, you could have just kind of like just had Raquel Rodriguez and just beat the shit out of her, you know, instead of doing the match.
Well, they're necessary to put people over, but they're generally, and especially in WWE, mostly just used for debuting superstars or returning superstars to kind of establish them in the heads of the audience of what the expectations are. Yeah. And I guess that's what this was too. Raquel returning from injury to some extent to stomp out Chelsea.
I understand that I understand that in a functional way. Like, it's to put the winner over, like for new wrestlers or old wrestlers, but I don't think it's very effective if you're just squashing somebody who is of no stature in that ring. And I know it's saying that Chelsea Green is of no stature.
I was going to say that kind of like gives more props to Chelsea, because like she's a bigger deal than Dante Chen.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to have a squash match, maybe that's the person you kind of have it in. And she seems like a real team player. She understands her place in the company and has no aspirations. I don't want to say she has aspirations, but she understands her role right now in the company.
For sure. And I think I agree with you on that side. Like, Chelsea Green, she has a bit more of a name. Like, she came out, she cut a promo right before this match started. So that already puts her at a higher stature than Dante Chen, for example, who had no music, no ceremony whatsoever. It was just cut to commercial, cut back to the ring, and he's there. It's those matches that I'm talking about where you just have jobbers in the ring. What's the point if it's only going to take up 3 minutes of airtime and you got to fill out 3 hours or 2.5 hours?
I think just the point is like, you know, delaying the build sometimes. Like, maybe Braun goes out next week and stomps one of the LW No members, or
okay, all right, you have my attention here.
Example, but you know, like who's a tag team that's not really doing much right now on that? Maybe one of the Good Brothers. You know, one of the OC, Anderson or Gallows. You know, like you give them, you start with Dante Chen. And then you give him a 5-minute match with Carl Anderson or something. Or Gallows would be even better because he's a larger guy. And then you can kind of put him over a larger guy. Or maybe he beats the shit out of Omos in a 10-minute match. You know, you kind of have to build him up, number one. And you have to do it in a way where he's not just fighting for the U.S. Championship next week.
Yeah.
So, this is just step one. It's a quick 3-minute interlude. Right. You can fit a promo before and after it. It's part of the wrestling business.
It is. There's a functionality to it. I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining, but yeah.
That's fine. I see your point.
All right. So
let's move into the next one. We got Imperium heading out there with Gunther for a promo and then presumably a match against the New Day after. So it's a decent promo by Gunther, working around some of the win over Jay and talking a little bit about the Jimmy angle and the bloodline coming out. And then he just basically quickly kind of pivots to who's going to face him at Mania. He throws out some names. He throws out Sammy, throws out Gable, throws out The Miz, throws out R-Truth. Maybe a way for
upper brass. R-Truth's pop is fantastic.
I was going to say, I think this was a way for them to kind of throw out some names and see what the crowd, kind of get a sense of what the crowd felt about them.
Yep.
But R-Truth got a massive pop. And then immediately the Judgment Day comes out, which I did not see coming at all. I Judgment Day's coming out. Where are we going with this? And then we see, unfortunately, that Finn Balor has been bitten by Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, so he did have
he has been infected with the Solo disease. He comes out fully wrapped. It's only a matter of time before his skin starts turning Polynesian. He starts having curly blonde hair and turning into a tiny little Solo. I really want them to release the footage of Solo backstage attacking him like a vampire and giving him this. I don't think it's fair that this was not given to us.
That's hilarious. I'd love that. Solo versus.
But Priest is there. Priest is there to call him out as a group, and that they want the Intercontinental Championship, and Gunther wants to know who wants the shot. So, he talks a little bit about Priest. Says he's not going to use that Money in the Bank on him. Talks a little bit about Finn, and then Dom steps up, says some shit. And talks some crap, gets some booze. Gunther pushes him. They have to hold Priest back in a really infantilizing way. I didn't like how they did that.
No. I thought everything that the Judgment Day did here just was maybe not everything, but a good portion of this was pretty weak. Pretty weak around the board. In fact, it seemed to me, I had two thoughts going on while Priest was talking. Either he wasn't expecting to go out there tonight and do this promo because he just seemed a little bit on his back foot when talking. He stuttered a little bit, or he was baked. He was high as shit. He had no idea where he was. He had to play this character, and then you have this giant Austrian man in front of you. And I'd be scared too.
I'd be frightened. Don't get me wrong. So the whole thing was a little interesting. I kind of want to punt on it, though, because I think they don't even know what they're doing with it right now. So we'll move on to the New Day coming out, rocking some San Jose Sharks sweaters and going for the street fight. The street fights are always a little bit toothless with the PG WWE era.
Yeah, we're still in the PG stuff. If you're going to do a street fight, make it matter a bit, And it feels weird to put a street fight on it's not a random Monday Night Raw. It's a first Monday Night Raw after EC, but it's still a random Monday Night Raw. Why would you put a street fight on a Monday Night Raw? I guess it's just to put an end to the beef here. But
there is a build-up, though. It's been going for a while. So this is a pretty good exclamation point. There's no PLE in March. This is not a WrestleMania quality event. Or match, I should say. So whatever. I hope it ends here. I hope this is the exclamation point. And even though, they did some good stuff here, they beat the crowd to the tables chant. They get that out of the way real quick to put a table set up.
They play with it a little bit. They have Kaiser. He goes to grab a table and he's like, "No, I'm not going to listen to you.
That was a little bit later, but Kofi and Woods immediately go out and set up a table. They go into the break. They're already in the crowd when they come out of the break. There was a solid slap by Xavier Woods with a beer, or I don't know if it was a can or a cup because the camera angle was terrible. It was right out of the break, but he hit one of Imperium with that, and it was a solid sounding hit. The beer went flying. It was a really nice bit. There was a nice double kick into the chair on Woods. Woods really got the shit kicked out of him in this match. And props to him. He sold this entire match. There was the double kick into the chair when they had him wrapped up in the ropes in the corner.
Yeah.
He took some solid shots with chairs and with kendo sticks. While most of the time Kofi was just kind of in the corner chilling. He was really getting the worst of it. He went off the top, threw a table onto the ground.
Yep.
Like, he hit it, but it was still him doing that shit. He got hit with the cookie sheet in the head at the finish, and then they put him through that chair in the corner, like, really hard.
Yeah, he took shots.
It was a pretty good match all around for a street fight that in this PG era. It was safe.
It picked up,
but devastating, And Woods is the MVP of this match and maybe of this night. He went out there and took some heavy shots, both in offense and in defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
They sold the violence very well.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add too much about it. I did think it was a little like you said at the top. It's still street fight and PG era, so you wish it could go a little bit further, but they worked with what they had, and it worked. It was fine. I'm trying to think of anything else that was kind of that comes to mind about that particular match. I just love Kaiser, man. I love that. I was gonna say they had a little segment right before that kind of summed up the story with New Day and Imperium up to this point, and just going back like a couple, like I guess it must be like 2 months now, 2 or 3 months. They've been building this up, and it all started with that accident with Kofi kicking Giovanni in the head, and getting him all fucked up.
Legit concussion.
And I think this is just a great example of like a Triple H, maybe not Triple H, but a good example of booking where you can like, oh shit, this thing happened, and you can milk it for as long as they did. I hope it doesn't need to go any further than this, because I'm kind of getting like, all right, what else can Imperium do? Like, who else can Imperium fuck around with?
Yeah, I'm getting a bit antsy with it as well. And I do think, I don't know if it's going to happen at Mania, just because you need to have that big match, but I do think the most legitimate ending to Gunther's reign, and the one that makes the most sense, is to have Kaiser win this. I think that's the best way to really get someone over here, is to eventually, if anyone's going to dethrone him, it would be Kaiser. I don't know if they're going to go with it that way, because I don't know what you do next after that. I guess you keep Kaiser as a heel and then move Gunther face when he comes back. But
yeah,
let's just move on, because we got to get through all these. I got 3 rapid things here in succession, and I'll ask you afterwards if you have any interest in them and speaking more about it. But we got Gable coming in asking for another shot at the IC. I'm not sure if that makes the most sense, because he's already lost twice to Gunther, maybe 3 times. But again, another reasonable person to get over with a win over Gunther. And then we had Baszler and Stark versus Hartwell and LeRae. They gave LeRae some early offense, but, it was a quick Stark and Baszler takeover. Hartwell finally got in the match, got a couple shots in, and they quickly dispatched her with the rear naked choke, and it's over. Pretty much a glorified squash match on the tag. Truth in the back with DIY and The Miz, talking about Regeneration X. Like, again, we've talked about this. It's so good. I'm here for it, but there's not much more to say that we haven't said over and over again every week. And then McIntyre comes out to spit fire. So before we get into McIntyre, do you have anything on Baszler, Stark, Hartwell, LeRae, the Chad Gable IC request, or the R-Truth stuff?
R-Truth just made it back from Austria really quickly. I'm impressed.
Yeah, bravo.
Yeah.
So McIntyre comes out. He's ready to spit fire. Delivers a little bit of a promo here talking about how his eardrum got blown out, but he would never miss Mania because he's not CM Punk. It wouldn't miss if he got an injury. Then he sits down, CM Punk style, cross-legged in the middle of the ring.
Love it.
Talks shit to a fan about don't go up the kilt. Says he drank twice as much on the way home from Australia because Punk's straight edge. He wanted to make up for it. And then I'm already like on the floor dying. And then here comes Rollins. So Rollins is doing his thing. The same old tired shtick that honestly, the crowd seems to love it. I'm not here for it.
You know what, man?
Fine.
I like it. I like Rollins.
That's
Kate
cool. I get
like
why
Rollins.
you would like it. Not to be dismissive. I understand why people like it.
Yeah, I mean, the only bit that I get tired of is the song and dance at the beginning. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm also a little bit tired of that with Cody as well. Sometimes I will skip the intro because I just want to get to the
How dare you?
Get to the meat. I just want to get to the meat. I love my woes. But sometimes
the Rollins intro is fine. I fast forward it every time now. I get it. I get people love to sing the song. The character is what bothers me more. I don't like the half Joker, like, I am a revolutionary, I am a revoltionary, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. I'm not here for it. It's fine. I understand why people like it, but I personally am not here for it. But it's not, I don't think he's Nia Jax.
No,
I'm not, he doesn't have go away heat with me, but I've bored heat with
sure.
him.
Yeah. Well, for Kate,
Rollins
though,
is,
for somebody that doesn't watch wrestling, well, Kate does watch wrestling. At this point now, she's a fan. But Kate loves his outfits. She can't wait till he comes out and he shows what
outfits
he's wearing.
are great.
And she's like, I love that.
It's like watching Drag Race.
Yeah, it is. It kind of is, yeah.
He's got exceptional style. When he had those third eye sunglasses in Australia, the Prince style third eye glasses, I was here for it.
Yeah. All right.
So this was a really good promo. Drew wants Rollins to back away from the bloodline stuff. He wants Rollins at 100%. He wants his undivided attention. He wants the legitimate win, but he'll take the win no matter how he can get it. And he states it that way. Like, I want you to stop fucking around with the Cody and bloodline shit so I can have you. But if you do not stop fucking around with the Cody and bloodline shit, I will have no problem ending you at 85%, at 75%. I love, this is the Drew I want. We've talked about it before. I don't want Drew doing heel shit. I want Drew doing smart shit that can be misconstrued as heel shit. I want him to be selfish. I don't want him to be evil.
No,
I thought this was a very good approach.
Yeah. He's bad, but he's not bad. Yeah, he's not bad. He's bringing relevant points to this.
Yeah, he's the voice of
the voiceless
reason to some extent. He's not the voice of the voiceless. he brings this approach of asking for, like, he brings a reasonableness to the table of being like, look, I don't want to do it this way, but I will if I have to. I'm not going to be honorable for the sake of honorable. I want wins. But I also don't want to win by interference, but I'll take it if I have to. I like that approach. I love that side of Drew, and I want them to emphasize that. You know, Rollins says he wants to cut the head off the bloodline, that's more important, yada, yada, yada. We already know Cody's building the Avengers, but I love that Drew's just like, nah, B, I don't give a shit. I want that title.
Yeah, and I want a legitimate title match. And they keep referring back to I haven't seen his WrestleMania win back in the Thunderdome days, but I can imagine, like, legitimately that's sucking for him. Like, his first ever title run. Yeah. And it's in front of a bunch of television screens. It's not great. So him working with that as well and bringing that up to, like, put that little bit of emphasis on points. Drew's crushing. Drew is crushing right now. I'm loving everything that Drew is putting out. I'll gobble it up. Let's go.
Absolutely. So let's bang on a couple more here things that don't really matter as much. We got Nia and Liv. I wrote here, can't wait. So excited for this match.
We're fucking, let's breeze through this. All of this, let's get to Waller Cody.
I feel bad for Liv here because she ate the pin. What did we talk about on SmackDown? She ate the pin against Tiff before Elimination Chamber. And now she's just getting absolutely dominated by Nia here, which makes sense because you need Nia to kind of stomp, given her position in the card, and built it up a little bit more for Becky. But yeah, so Nia mostly stomps. We get some telestration out of the break. Love that. McAfee and Cole hitting the telestrator again. I'm all here for it once a week at least. A really, really nice looking code breaker from the top by Liv that Nia sold really well and took really well and was very protective of Liv. So again, I'm here to give credit for Nia where it's due. She looked pretty good in this match all around, actually. For a squash match, she looked a lot more crisp. She did a safe job too. She was a lot better than she has been with protecting her opponent. I thought this was a really solid match for Nia, to be fair. All around, especially given the circumstances. But then Becky comes in and starts working Nia around. We got a DQ finish. This is what it is. Then we'll move in. We got Waller and Theory in the back. Waller says he did everything to protect Theory at Elimination Chamber, and Theory gave some great faces. That was fun. Nice to see a shout out to Ole, as I said at the top of the break, at the top of the show. Nice to see Ole, a shout out coming out of the break to him. As he's not really a WWE guy. Then we get into the Jay interview backstage. I mean, this man needs to breathe. He can't keep up with his own improvisations. I get it. You're really excited, and that's your whole shtick right now. But I'm starting to get a little annoyed with, the Jay hype train, because he's just going a little too fast for his own brain when he delivers these promos.
Hey, man, I feel you. You got a bunch of words in there. You want to get them out, then sometimes they all come out at once. I feel you.
It's all just a big old jumble. But Drew comes in, says that Jay deserves everything that's happened to him. They start fighting. It's completely unresolved. Whatever. Yeah. And then we get into Waller versus Cody, which is last match of the night. It's going to lead into some bloodline shit. I thought Cody did a very good job here of letting Waller get his spots in. I think Waller does have a future. He's very talented in the ring, and he hasn't really been able to show it as much.
Yeah, I was actually
in his time on SmackDown.
I was actually really impressed with Waller's performance here. Obviously you're working with Cody, who is, it's Cody. He's one of the best in there. He's the man. So you have that ability to work with somebody to help elevate you. And like you said, Cody let him have his spots. And I thought it was to be honest, if I was just tuning in for the first time, maybe if I just came in as a lapsed fan where I know how wrestling kind of works, I would have been convinced here that these guys are both at the top level of the card just by how they work together, right? When Waller isn't at the top level of the card, but the way that they worked here, really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah, Waller had a very solid match. Again, kudos to Cody for putting him over, too. Cody could have just made it a squash if he had wanted to. He could have politicked it into a squash, in my opinion. There's one really badly missed gut kick made worse by the camera angle.
Yeah.
But other than that,
from Cody?
I'm sure we're going to see that on Botch. Yeah, with he kicked him and they did the sit-down slap-up Goldust style.
Yeah, that was rough. But, it is what it is.
But headed into the first break, Michael Cole says the internet is going nuts that Paul Heyman has been confirmed in the building, which I don't know how legit that is, but we see where we're going. Come out of the break, again, more nice balance here. Waller getting some rub, but getting a little heat, getting a little momentum. Cody shuts it down. Getting a little momentum. Cody shuts it down.
Yeah.
And we're coming to the end here. Still 10 minutes left. Wonder where we're going. So they finish up. Heyman comes with security. And then Paul says San Jose, California, which is a little lame, even for Paul.
Really?
That's kind of a fucking lame bit. And then he says the security are actually NYPD officers that have been suspended. Paul is an old man. And he's used to working the territories in the before time when he was the New York guy in the South and playing that North-South rivalry. So I see where he's coming from. But I'm not sure if there's really much of a rivalry between New York and San Jose.
I don't know if it was anything to do with the fact that they were New York City retired, or I don't know if it was an East versus West sort of thing. Maybe it was. I don't read it as that because I'm not a sports fan. Maybe it has to do with sports. Maybe it's, West Side.
I just read it more as like a territorial thing.
Right. But I just read it as I thought this was a very ECW, like late 90s, early 2000s kind of segment where, Paul, like I could see Paul back in the late 90s at ECW in, I think it was Philadelphia, where they were doing like those old days, coming in with quote unquote suspended police officers because it's edgy and cool. And you don't know what the police officers would do because they're cops, and there's a different realm of danger involved. But here, it's just kind of like it's more gimmicky than anything else. It doesn't add any presence to it. But just before we move on, there's one of the police officers. He actually started going viral, probably because he was just a nice, handsome looking dude. And he's done like voices for WWE video games in the past, and he's worked as a jobber. Anyway, his Twitter has just exploded in the last little bit, where they just like, who's this handsome guy standing behind Paul? And now he's like just getting an actual fan base, and I thought that was kind of fun.
Fair enough, and that was fine. I mean, it was all pretty straightforward. Paul essentially tells Cody he wants him to stop talking about The Rock. Cody says he doesn't give a shit. He was a fan of The Rock like everyone else. When Paul's like, hey, yeah, I'm sure you don't mind me stepping into the ring, and Cody's like, no, you may not. And then Cody says, if anyone takes another step, everyone's going down. Paul tries to get in, and then Cody's like, that counts. He clears house. Paul does the phone bit where he's like, call Roman Reigns, and then he pulls out a second phone with a Brahma Bull on it. It says, call The Rock.
Call The Rock.
And then Cody says he isn't hunting the blood, or the bloodline isn't hunting him. He's hunting the bloodline. And then the cop jobbers get fucking smashed again. It was all very traditional, old school wrestling. Pretty straightforward. Any more comments you want to give to the end of Raw?
No, I mean, I actually kind of like this. It showed a little bit of teeth on Cody that we haven't seen very much before. Like we've seen such a babyface Cody for so long that you forget that this guy's can like he can fuck. You know what I mean? So having him show up with a chair and just beat the shit out of a bunch of no names was fun to me. Like I said, it showed some teeth on Cody, and the anger that he was showing here helped sell it for me. And it was the level of storytelling that I was kind of expecting more of at like EC. Like you could have done this exact same spot at EC, just replace the jobbers with bloodline members, like actually Jimmy and Solo Sikoa, and then have Paul going, pulling out the two phones, so. It seems weird to me to put it on a Raw and with jobbers, because I feel like it would have fit well in EC. But other than that, I liked it. I liked the performance. I liked the match more than I thought I was going to like the match. I thought, like you said, it could have been a squash match, but Cody gave Grayson his due. Like he put him over a little bit, and I thought he didn't have to do that, but he did, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, fair. I liked it too. It was very old school wrestling. We'll see where it goes. Like we've been talking about all episode, they're kind of treading, and we're ramping up. We're ramping up to me. They should be ramping up because they've been teasing me for so long. If they don't start ramping up soon, I'm gonna start pulling my hair out and screaming on the internet again. For sure. All right, well, it's time to play a game.
All right.
All right, let's end this. Another over 2 hour episode, which I honestly thought was coming with the EC stuff, but okay. Here we go. Let's get some volume on this. He left to make movies. Results have been kind of mixed, but he's made quite a bit of money. It's Rock's box office.
Oh.
Rock's box office. Rock's box office. All right, I call this game Rock's Office. Will, I wanted to give you something a little bit outside wrestling. Give you a chance to actually win one of these suckers. This is the top 10 box office worldwide, not adjusted for inflation, from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So I will tell you right now that he, according to this website that I have up here, he has made over $5 billion as an actor in movies. He has made close to, I'd say, less than you would think, actually. I'd say this is about, 4, 5, 10, only about 40 movies, I'd say, as actor.
Okay,
Coming
that's
close
respectable.
to that. But I want from you, Will, I want the top 10 in Rock box office.
Oh, man.
For his career. No hints yet. I will give you some hints later on as we start nailing them down. But let's hear some guesses. Top 10. I will tell you the number one movie, his worldwide box office is $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. And his lowest movie is a Netflix movie, Red Notice. I don't know if you remember that one with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot.
Yeah, on Netflix, yeah.
That box office was 173,000, but it was a Netflix movie and it was released technically during the pandemic, so can't hold that against him too much.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Top 10. And you want me to just work from 10 up and just kind of see where we go?
I'm going to give you carte blanche here. I want you to try to get in 10 guesses as much as you can get from the 10, but you can start with anything and I'll tell you if it falls in the top 10.
Black Adam for number 10.
Wow. Will, Black Adam. So by certain metrics and different websites, it did fall in the top 10. But when I found this one that was the definitive top 10, it unfortunately is incorrect. It is the 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th highest grossing movie at $390.5 million.
So we got to go more popular than Black Adam.
More popular than Black Adam.
That's going to be tough.
I will give you 3 hints.
Okay.
One you can ask me is the name of his character in the movie. Another one is the year. And the third one is... I will just give you another of your choice, name or year.
Okay. Let's do year of number 10.
The year of number 10. How about this? I will give you a range of years for the 10. For the top 10, they all fall between 2011 and the current day.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Number 10 was in 2015, May 29th, 2015, where he played a character named Ray.
Ray. Would that be San Andreas?
Wow. Did not see you nailing that one. Did you watch that movie? Because I sure as fuck didn't.
No, I just remember the DVD when we worked at the video store together, just being plastered everywhere.
Wow.
Never watching and going like,
did not expect that at all.
That seems like it's a hit.
At $456 million is May 29th, 2015, San Andreas. So you're 1 for 2 so far.
All right.
What's your guess for number 3?
Wait.
Your guess for your third guess, not for specifically number 3.
My third guess for...
Well, I will tell you, in these 10 movies... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are from a single franchise.
Well, we all know what that is. So for number 9 is what I'm guessing here, right?
You can guess anything in the top 10.
Oh, guess anything in the top 10. I think number 1 would be Moana.
Okay, Moana is in the top 10 and it is not number 1, it is number 9.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So I'm going to give you that one. Moana is correct.
Okay, wow, number 9.
$630 million with rounding up.
All right. So then for number 8, I want to go with... Oh, what the fuck was that movie? Number 8, I want to go with the Jungle Book, or not Jungle Book, Jumanji, the first one, Jumanji 1.
Jumanji, the first one, is number 3 on the list. That is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. We got Fun and Games at $961 million.
Okay.
Is number 3. I'm going to give you that one too. Okay.
So number 3 is Jumanji. That's interesting.
Dr. Smolder Bravestone.
Okay, for number 8.
You don't have to guess number. You can just guess. You can guess anything.
Oh,
and as long as it's in the top 10, I'm going to give you the point.
Oh, okay. So then I'm going to
3 for 4 so far.
Okay, then I'm going to get I'm going to put Fast 5 in there.
Fast 5 is at number 8. I think you nailed it 2 times here.
Sweet. Number
8, Fast 5, as Luke Hobbs, making $630 million. So
yeah,
1 million more than Moana.
I would go. Well, when was his last one? Was it Fast? It wasn't Fast 9. I think it was Fast 8. I think Fast 8.
No
was probably
comment.
Oh no, was he Fast? Was it Fast 10? That was his. Like, he wasn't in Fast 10 because all the controversy that happened in Fast 9.
No comment.
I don't know my fasts. I'm sorry, everybody. But I am going to put... So Fast 5, we already said. I'm going to put Fast 6, Fast 7, Fast 8, and Hobbs and Shaw in that top 10.
So you're saying 6, 7, 8, and Shaw.
Correct.
Okay. So at number 5, we have Fast and Furious number 6 with $789 million.
Okay.
At number 1, Furious 7.
Furious 7.
The 7th movie in the shit at $1.5 billion.
Yeah. But not popular because of The Rock, popular because of death.
Of course, exactly. Don't forget. At number 2, The Fate of the Furious, which I do believe is the 8th one because they have the Fate of the Furious.
Yep.
And then at number 6, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. So, Will, you're doing pretty good here. You've only messed up on your first guess, and I think it's mostly because you didn't understand how the game worked.
Okay, fair enough. So we've got number 1 with Fast 7. Number 2 was what again? Did you say it was Fast?
So yeah, number 1, Furious 7. Number 2, Fate of the Furious. Number 3, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Number 4, you haven't got. Number 5, Fast and Furious, which was, Fast and Furious 6. Number 6, Hobbs and Shaw. Number 7, you have not got. Number 8, Fast 5. Number 9, Moana. And number 10, San Andreas. Wild that San Andreas is on this list.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember the marketing being crazy for that one. So I'm missing.
So you have one more guess to get either 4th or 7th.
Okay. Now I don't know if it's. I don't know if he's in Fast 9. That's the one I'm really struggling with. But I feel like, and this is adjusted for inflation?
This is not adjusted for inflation.
Not adjusted for inflation. Okay.
Not adjusted.
That helps. And these are all from 2011 to today. Number four. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say number 7 would be the second Jumanji movie.
You are incorrect, but it is number 4.
Fuck!
Jumanji, The Next Level.
All right.
Featuring Dr. Smolder Bravestone.
Crazy to me that those Jumanji movies are as big as they are.
You got 9 out of 10, so you won the game. Number 7 is a Fast and Furious movie. Which Fast and Furious movie is it, Will?
Well, it's got to be Fast 9 then.
It is not, Will. You did not do your homework. You did not watch Fast 10 and see the after credits sequence when they brought back the motherfucking Rock.
Fuck off. That doesn't count.
Some other wild ones on here. So yeah, number 11 is Mummy Returns, which, not adjusted for inflation, is a crazy number.
That's a crazy number.
It's 435 million, and it came out in 2001.
That I was considering that until I had to think, oh right, it's from 2011 till now.
And then next up is Rampage, which I completely forgot about.
Oh my god.
2018. And then Black Adam, and then G.I. Joe Retaliation, which I heard great things about that movie. Never ended up watching it. 2021 is Free Guy. Do not remember him in Free Guy, but he must have had a cameo or something.
Probably.
And then a bunch of other fucking weird nondescript movies. Journey 2, The Mystery, whatever. Skyscraper, Hercules, Get Smart, Central Intelligence, Jungle Cruise. Just a bunch of stuff that I completely forgot that he did. Baywatch, the DC League of Super Pets.
Yeah, he voiced...
That made $203 million.
Yeah, he voiced Superdog in it or something. Oh, no, Black Adam Dog.
He did. No, you nailed it. No, Crypto the Superdog.
God damn it. And, if that's the case, then 100% Kevin Hart's Bat Dog.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, well, let's get out of here. We've already went too far, over 2 hours, but I think we'll get a little bit cut here from our stops. Another productive week in the wrestling universe. Please go out there, rate and review our podcast. It means so much for our viewership. Get on YouTube and just play our channel all night on mute to get us views.
There you go.
And then maybe someone will get the algorithm to alert them to the fact that we exist. That'd be cool too. Email us at 14123%@gmail.com. Will, what do you got for us for plugs this week?
I got no plugs. Just stay away from playing shitty gigs in the middle of nowhere when you can help it. Stay home. Stay warm. Try not to
stay home. Play Baldur's Gate.
Play Baldur's Gate.
2K. Play WWE 2K24. Do that. It's way better than Canmore.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Death
Stranding. Cochran? Canmore? Cochran? Canmore? Cochran?
Don't go to either.
Definitely don't go to Cochran. All right, well, that's it for this week. We'll catch you next week where we're going to have another shorter episode, hopefully, while we whittle this down and make it more attainable for us to touch on other subjects. Guys, the numbers don't lie. We did the math. That spelled disaster for you at Sacrifice. We'll see you next week.